Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of Carlos Will Not Be Editing Tonight, BIC 109. On this episode, we'll have a little bit of a mixed mash of hobby topics. It is a live version brought to us by AMG Collectibles and amgcollectibles.ca, AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. I want to make sure I get that right off the top. I will play the little theme song there in a second, but I want to make sure I get all this out of the way. I did also do on the video on the channel itself, I did do my year in review and included some wonderful clips from this very podcast. It's very exciting. It's very fun. So we'll finish it off. It is a wrap on 2024. This is the last regular thing. The last thing will be the New Year's Eve special, but we will talk a little bit of hobby things. Eric will complain about something because he always complains about something. And we're going to learn something today. That and more in this episode of the BIC podcast. I actually pressed the wrong button, but I decided just to let it run. I actually thought it would roll into the theme song perfectly. I actually kind of enjoyed that. I'm not going to lie.
It was all right.
Yeah, I actually thought it worked. Brandon, I'll be honest, it kind of worked for me.
I was wondering if that was an accident because I couldn't figure out what the cackle was intended for, but it worked.
It was a happy accident. I think a general cackle. Listen, we could all use a good cackle.
Oh, yeah.
There are a few situations in life. This is why I'm a less angry person than Eric is in general. I like me a good cackle. It's a stress reliever. It's a wonderful. It extends your life. It increases your health. And I can guarantee you, people who cackle, 85% of them do not have replaced hips. True story.
Hey,
that's science.
I have to say, I seen the Instagram post that somebody has made a bike ride 99 times this year. And that was more impressive than the photos he took, because I was trying to figure out how in the hell he's actually gotten on the bike 99 times with as many times as he was at the doctor's and in the bed.
I'm a machine.
I didn't know there was that many days actually in the year.
So but you said he got on the bike 99 times, right? So if
he
tries to get on the bike, he slips and
falls.
Well, does it count as a bike ride if he like barely gets out of his driveway, keels over, has to get back on? Do you restart the count when you get back on the bike?
I didn't ask for details of the statistics.
Mm-hmm.
I was just told or read that tomorrow was going to be number 100.
Yep, tomorrow's 100. I was thinking about, maybe we could take a vote. I was thinking about doing ride number 100 in the garage during the live. So you'll have
Kathy throw rocks at the bike spokes.
Can everyone in the neighborhood throw rocks at Eric while he's on the bike?
So if anybody wants to see me do the live on my bike tomorrow, let me know. If not,
name on this. Yeah. So I'm going to read a couple of comments. Josh here says, it's Monday night, ? And you know what that means? Because I'm Carlos Alive. That is facts. It says, hi, Josh, and everyone else who joins this silliness. Eric is trying to counteract his mom, and she says, you're not my boss. That's right, Kathy. You tell him.
She does.
A stream today, a stream tomorrow. The hobby gods will bless us all. Praise the content gods. Praise my laziness in editing. Praise. Good evening, Orlando. It does sound like fake news that Eric claims he's been on a bicycle. I think he was on a unicycle. We all know that's the truth.
I got to learn how to do that. I've always wanted to learn. I got a buddy who can ride one. So I want to try it.
I think it'll strengthen your legs if you use one without the seat.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Dylan. Dufek says, I want to see you ride your bike to jump Springfield Gorge. Damn right.
I think that's a Simpsons reference.
It is. It is.
Okay.
On the bike and wearing the spandex? Well, that's what Eric does before he gets on the bike.
No, today was not a spandex ride. Tomorrow.
Yeah, you saved the spandex for watching Emmanuel in Space?
Oh, we're not. Listen, it's Monday. Knock it off.
That was a question. That was not an accusation. Brandon, I phrased it in the form of a question.
We will have
I've seen the question mark in the speech.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. Yeah.
tomorrow will be spandex ride. I'll be on my gravel bike, either in the garage, in the
Spandex
training,
ride.
or out on the road, or the rail trail.
Spandex ride sounds like a threat.
Tomorrow's
It's like,
spandex ride.
I'm gonna
Today
show
was-
you guys tomorrow's spandex ride. Let me tell you.
This was today was a baggy shorts ride.
I see. Ray here says, has Ray Bork done the autograph signing for your shop yet? I want to
No.
get 3 cards autographed by his Eric. Hello, Mr. Carlos. Hello to you.
He has not. We're trying to, we know he's around because he's doing the charity.
Did you offer him brains?
I did not offer him brains, but he's supposed to be doing
Well, maybe he'd show up sooner if you offered brains.
polar plunge. So we know he's in the area and up from Florida. Oh, good Lord.
Amanda's right. It does feel like a threat. I think you're threatening the neighborhood.
Let's
decent-
see. I don't hear anybody voting for me to be on camera tomorrow riding my bike in my spandex.
Well,
so.
that would require me to have actually set up a pole. other than your unicycle pole, I then would have to set up a pole. I can set up a pole.
So either I go out for a ride tomorrow and bang out like 30 miles, or I just do a couple of hours in the garage. Those are the two options.
All right, I think I'll phrase this correctly. Let's see. I can go this way. All right, here we go. All right, I have put the poll in the chat. I phrased it correctly based on Eric's parameters. Should Eric fall off his bike on a live? That is what I believe what you said. So, got it covered. Done. So, a couple of things I wanted to touch on. Obviously, my main thing, like I said, jokes aside, my main thing actually was I didn't want to edit anything tonight. I already had the last video on the channel was actually my year end. I included some clips from the podcast. Dylan did not actually realize that we had a podcast. So now you know, this is a live version of it. But some of my favorite moments this year, I did go through a couple of the lives, but I got to be honest with you. Some of my favorite ones, like I think 3 clips were from a live podcast where Victor was on, like 3 different ones. And I also realized that some of the funniest moments I was wearing the orange shirt. It was more of a coincidence than anything else, but it just so happened that I happened to be wearing the orange shirt a lot during those, because there were separate episodes, different times. But there were a couple of them where basically it was happening. I was like, huh, interesting.
In watching your recap video, I felt
A
as
wonderful
if
recap it was.
I felt as if maybe once or twice I was the butt of the jokes.
I am mortified that you would even take that kind of interpretation from what was obviously an even-handed approach.
And I don't know how to take that.
You should take that as hashtag true news.
Yeah.
Hashtag truth bombs. Hashtag the truth hurts.
I felt as if I was the butt of the jokes a lot. I don't quite know how that happened.
I believe your lack of manapistum. I believe your lack of manapistum may have played a factor. Even Victor acknowledged that you kind of failed at being a man of peace. And that's what happened. And you did provoke a man of peace at least once.
Which one? I've done it several times.
Well, there was one specific one where Victor told you that you had provoked a man of peace. And that's why you had what happened coming. That was part of the clip.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds to me like you need to watch it a couple more 14 times. And you should be able to get it.
No, I don't need to watch. I don't need to watch myself be humiliated on the YouTubes anymore. Once was enough. I'm good.
If you say so.
But according to your daughter and her gift, you're famous on the YouTubes, and there might be a good reason for the fame of the YouTubes.
Yes.
Maybe you should embrace being the butt of the joke.
I think
about it. If you embrace it fully, you might become big in the Netherlands too.
Yeah.
You could become YouTube famous to the Dutch. That could be huge for you.
You could have another Christmas gift waiting for next year.
You could have free clogs for life.
All right.
Free clogs.
All right, we're gonna have to look into that.
Just saying. Bossy, evening all, and Eric. Absolutely. So a couple of things we'll touch on. Eric's going to complain and whine about something, but I did laugh. One thing that actually happened that we did have a regular mail day today, and it's funny now that suddenly Canada Post starts working, that suddenly people start buying shit on eBay. So I was dropping some stuff off, but I did get a couple of items that came in. One of them actually was something that I had been looking for on eBay for a while, and I finally came across the correct one because I had bought something else that was close. It wasn't the same one, so I bought this. So this is the official baseball card price
Ooh.
guide, 1992 collector's edition. I know.
Comps for days.
Comps for days. So this is actually a second copy. The original I can't seem to find anymore. This was a copy of the first like color price guide I ever had. So I was looking for this specific one. I wanted the paperback copy. And the reason I wanted it was because this was actually, so before I ever started collecting vintage and all those things, I was actually looking at the pictures for years inside, and they had a lot of great color photographs of a lot of the different sets and different things in it. So that's how I knew what a lot of the cards looked like. So you got some nice color photos of all the key cards in it as well. Now, one of my favorites, and here's the 53 moment color page, a couple pages. So you got the checklist, you got these prices and everything. This is more than 30 years old, but inside the card number 311, the Mickey Mantle was the princely sum of $8,500. A pittance. A pittance.
I couldn't afford it then, and I can't afford it now, so it doesn't matter.
Alas, you can. Well, you see, Eric, if the card was in good condition, it would be worth approximately 10 to 15% of the mint or near mint values. $850. A pittance. Pocket change. Now, this one goes all the way. The very last full set that is included in this is 1991 Upper Deck Final Edition. And of course, right near the end.
Does it have 91 Fleer?
Oh, you're reading my mind. Right there. 1991 Fleer in all its glory.
Complete set, about $17.
Now, the best part is the very last page is 1992's hottest cards. That includes Roger Salkeld, Brian Taylor, of course, Jim Thome. Actually, that one's a decent one. Jim Thome, that's a good one. Todd Van Poppel, damn right. Mark Wohlers and Eddie Zosky. 1 out of 6 ain't bad. 1 out of 6 ain't bad.
So depending on what month this was released, I was either a senior in high school or a freshman in college.
There you go. If only you would have known what the future held.
Yeah.
1992.
Like
so this one, big fan of that one. I was really, once I've been searching for this one on eBay for a little while, and there was actually a Canadian seller that had it. I was like, yes, let's go. So that one's going back in the library. I'll skim through. I'll do a video at some point where I'll skim through it a little bit. It's got some good. The thing is, the color photos on it are actually pretty good, because most of the price guys had black and white photos. They had the little ones, and even the Beckett was black and white. The fact that it had the color photos actually let you see what the cards look like, the color on everything on, and that was a big selling feature with that one. So it was more of a visual guide. It had the price guide, but it had the visual element of it, and that was my first opportunity to see a lot of those 50s vintage cards for the first time. So that's why it was a good one. That's why I kind of wanted to get it back in the library.
Well, I think, books that in the hobby that do have a lot of pictures, especially of vintage in really good shape, I really appreciate them. I enjoy it. That's why, I thought Bobby's book was so good. What he refers to as the Playboy edition. The thing is just loaded with pictures of things that I didn't even know existed. When I got that book, my whole world opened up. And when you can get a periodical like that and see things that you've never seen before, it can definitely change your entire perspective of collecting. So, it isn't that I'm afraid to read. I mean, it's difficult for me. I got to sound out the word, keep my finger under the word and sound it out, but it takes me a while. But in the hobby, pictures rule. So if you can get a book or a magazine or, whatever it is that really does a good job putting pictures in it, you can't beat it. I think it's great. So that looks like it has a lot. So that's pretty cool.
Wow. Good evening, Baz. Dave's Vintage Baseball PC. Good evening. Complaints and lectures. Sounds like fun. Good times. Zach says, Neo was live during your Friday night, and he just went live again. Is he's trying to start a war with the Man of Peace? Neo is a man of war. I think one of them was based on comic books, though. I think it was like a comic book thing. I think I caught that. So I'm not terribly concerned about it. Lord knows what the man's doing. I don't think even he knows what he's doing half the time.
I know we don't.
Listen, you got to make it up. This sounds like Eric's first time with BIC all over again. Listen, he's got to praise the bro. Praise.
Would you go away? Go away. Go find something to do. One of your kids is probably sticking a fork in a light socket somewhere. Would you go keep an eye on your kids and leave me alone? Good God. He's got 47 kids. Do you believe having 47 kids?
I think he's
Take some
bigger achievement.
responsibility. Take some goddamn responsibility. 47 kids.
Comics again? Yes. Good evening, Ham. Listen, you can barely handle like 2. So I don't know what to tell you.
I can't.
I'm not even completely convinced. Like, are you sure you're not going to put the fork in the socket soon? Like, isn't that coming next?
I'll do it, but I'll do it on purpose, trying to end it all. I'll be standing in a bucket of water when I do it.
Oh, listen, at least you put it, only a bucket. You can do better. How about a kiddie pool? Step up your game, man.
Just need to keep the feet wet. That's all.
Step up your game. Other one that came in, it was actually kind of funny. It kind of played into a conversation that I had before. I did get one more Medano card in for the end of the year. So this is one of the newer ones from the Upper Deck Extended. So it's a cranked up acetate card. So we got cranked up. That's what they call these ones.
What year did you say that was?
This is 23, 24.
Oh,
yeah, 23, 24 Synergy.
Okay.
So that's a new one. So that is the green version out of 49. They look decent. Like I said, it's an
one that
cards.
you put in the Discord.
No, this one I literally just got it in today. This one just came in. There was one that was from Ingrained. There was an Ingrained one. Yeah, there was an Ingrained one that was the Stick Auto. That was a different thing. But yeah, this one literally just came in the mail today. Just picked it up.
Now, I got some really nice cards in the mail today too, but I'm afraid that if I show them, I'm going to have to deal with you.
Well, you're going to have to deal with this all.
So, not one drop of back to the PEDs. Okay.
Listen, Eric, you're the one who's telling us, you and Bad Hip and all, about like, hey guys, I got on a bike 99 times. So you're saying you are the drugs.
I had to take some drugs earlier in the year to get on the bike. That's a fact.
Yeah,
there was definitely drugs involved, especially after my back surgery. Yeah,
Ham outlining it eloquently, as always. We can always rely on Florida man.
Well,
take care of it for us.
I purchased a couple of what I think are really nice cards. This one's from The Cup out of 99. That is going to look unbelievable getting signed by my bestest friend in the entire world. That's going to look awesome. I have to pick a color.
I bet it would look more awesome if you inscribed how many goals he scored.
And I'm going to have him write it on it.
Yeah, assuming you could remember how many goals he scored.
Yeah. So I'm going to have
it in a purple paint pen.
I'm thinking purple paint pen on that. I think it's going to rock. And this one I also just got, and I really like this one. It's now who makes this? The Ultimate Collection. They make good cards. I have a few. I'm starting to get more and more of these. They really do really well. Stick With Me out of 35. And I'm going to have them sign that one probably in silver on the purple.
My favorite part is like, who makes this? Upper Deck. Upper Deck makes literally every hockey card that's not Leaf.
No. I was looking. Yes, I understand that. But I wanted to know what kind it was, and it's Ultimate. And I think these Ultimate cards are really, really nice. I mean, I guess they're probably one step lower than the Cup or something.
They're basically right just below the Cup. They're a higher end brand.
They're fantastic. I mean, here's one I have sitting on my desk. I mean, that's Ultimate. I mean,
yeah. I
mean, and I have a few others kicking around too somewhere. That I'm starting to pick up more and more of them. They're really nice.
Before the Panini days of now, Ultimate Collection would kind of be the national treasures level of what Panini has, and then Exquisite would be the flawless level.
Yeah, well, Exquisite is the Cup. So in hockey terms, exquisite was the highest end product, and the
Right.
cup is what you have to do. So Upper Deck will still use exquisite. They'll use the brand as
They
like a
incorporated
something
in
as an
the cup,
insert.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I
But
was
if
using Panini's
yeah,
NT and Flawless to do a equal crossover.
yeah, if it wasn't for the NHL insisting that if you're going to use the cup branding, it has to be the highest, then there would have been an NHL exquisite. But as it is, they'll incorporate it into other things. I think they include it in sometimes in upper. I think they include it in UD Black. I think they've included it in Black Diamond in the past. They'll throw exquisite as an insert in some of the other ones instead of having a standalone set of exquisite. But basically, whenever we're looking at the cup is basically hockey exquisite. Because really
Yes.
that's they just don't want to use exquisite every time because it's its own brand, but at the same time they don't want to ignore it. They want to have some exquisite cards if they can, but that's their way of getting around it. Like we'll still have exquisite here and there, but the cup is still the highest end brand, the top of the food chain. So name here says inscribed at 731, the amount of goals scored by Marcelion, the amount of times Eric has harassed him. Eric has harassed him way more than that. I had a clip on that on the last episode.
Maybe it's been a lot. I harass them a lot.
Yeah,
That's
I was gonna
true.
say maybe 731 times in one expo. You know,
Well,
it's a
and
lot.
I sometimes I text him, and he seems confused sometimes by what I'm asking, but that's okay.
Well,
I think
since
my
we're
favorite part.
sharing mail
Yep, go ahead.
days, I'll share mine. I just
Go
got
ahead.
my JSA CGC order back today. I shared the graded stuff I guess last week, but today the mail came and I got my Muhammad Ali, which was already authenticated, but they had to re-authenticate it to do the slab. So it does have the sticker on there from
Awesome.
JSA, and it got an 8 with a 9 auto.
Nice.
And
I would
then
very much like to have a Muhammad Ali autograph. That is very nice. Very
this was pretty awesome. The card with me and my kids, the Topps custom with had Roble sign it and inscribe it, and it is now officially slabbed up, graded. I thought it was really awesome that they put Edwards fam with Victor Robles on the label. So the family name is officially encapsulated and in a pop report of a grading company. So that's pretty cool. And I'm not worried about the 7. I actually picked this card when I sent it off to have him sign it. And it has, you probably won't be able to see it, but up above the G, there was a little nick on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But back when I had this done and then sent it to him to sign it and everything, I never expected that it would be graded, and so I
Brandon,
didn't
though,
care.
I don't want to bury the lead here, but I do want to make sure I acknowledge it. Can we talk about the gentleman who's hanging out behind your kids, who's staring a hole into Eric's soul?
That was
scary.
one of the funniest parts of the picture. Was one of the other players waiting for somebody to come. That was you auctioned off. They auctioned off the jerseys, and if you won, you got to go down on the field and get the jersey from them. This card all around has a crazy story to it. The team would have helpers or whatever down there, and they would take pictures and then post them on their Facebook and everything. Well, as you can tell, the lights are off, and somebody didn't coordinate with the fireworks folks.
He'll be your friend, Eric. He'll be
They
your
were
friend.
taking photos. So right when we got down there, me and my kids were down there. The missus was with us. We went to get the jersey and do the photo and everything, and they cut the stadium lights off to do the fireworks, and they just start letting fireworks off.
Yeah.
And the girl that was doing the pictures couldn't get the flash to work on her camera.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife was like, "No biggie, I'll just do it with my phone." And she snapped, like, the actual picture, the firework is real nice in the background and big. And she was so proud of that picture. And then the story is crazy from there, sending it off to get it done, being told they couldn't do it, canceling my order, then FedEx delivering the cards out of nowhere. We didn't even know they were coming. It's been a crazy story with the card. The slab itself is even funny because it says it's a 2015 Topps custom, but anybody that knows baseball cards, that's a 2017 design. because we actually had this done in 2017.
I was thinking that.
The copyright date on the card is 2015 because Topps just put a single generic copyright on the back. So that's why they put that. But then I had the rookie card logo on there because if you look at the hometown on the back, it's actually Culpeper, Virginia. So I created the card as our card, the Edwards family card, not Victor Robles. So it's a fun card all the way around. I'll never have a card that tops it. It's just cool having me and my kids there. It was our first baseball game that we went all together as a family. And she, even though the missus isn't in the picture, she's always been proud of that picture because she got the firework right there behind us. And so, but yeah.
Now, remind me, what does it say on it?
What, the card?
Yeah,
it's top. Edwards fam with Victor Robles.
No, his autograph was say
God.
I
had him inscribe it God in front, and then he hand numbered it 101. And the God in front thing is actually something that he put on all of his uniform, his bat. Like he would write it on his batting gloves, his cleats. Like it was his little reminder, little motivation thing. He would write it like on the bill of his hat. And that's another reason why I had to get this. I probably paid more than most people would have for it, but it goes with this. And that was his little saying, so.
No, that's great.
But
makes sense. No, good stuff there. And we now know who Eric's new best friend is in the back of the photo.
No,
that yeah.
He's Eric's new. Look, Eric has been bothering Marcel. The least he can do is take on his new best friend. His new best friend, creepy guy in the back of the photo. So Dan is saying, can I self-promote? We love shameless self-promotion. So yes, you can shamelessly self-promote. Joe says, did Brandon redo his room in a different room? It is the same room. It is the same room.
I have been, I actually have a bunch of stuff that I need to put up there. And then in all of these cubes, I have some, but it's hard to see it with the way the cubes are. I have redone the room. This back here, I actually have 2 of the heads that go in those cubbies done. I just need to get some extensions for some USB cords because they're going to have lights. I'm working on the one that goes in that cubby. It's going to be more than cards in here. It's going to be a lot of fun nerd stuff. So I am working on it. It's slow. I also had the flu, so I was down for about a week. So that kind of put a hindrance in things.
The real situation is he had a hankering, and I mean a hankering for some horse meatballs. And there's only one place you can go.
That is oddly specific.
Yeah, there's only one place you can go to get horse meatballs, and that is IKEA. And you can Google it.
I've never ate there. I've actually never ate at the restaurant.
He had a hankering. So he's walking around the store trying to get some, the meatballs, those gray, nasty ass meatballs at the IKEA with the toothpicks in them. So he's trying to go around to different people and scoff up as many as he can to get that horse meat that he likes. And he's like, while I'm here, these shelves, might be all right. They're looking in my office. So 2 birds, 1 stone, couple of dead horses, and some new shelves.
So I have a follow-up question. My follow-up question is as follows. So first of all, I would defer everyone to his subheading there. Just be sure in case throughout the show, feel free to ask him about a manual in space. Now, follow-up question to what you were talking about. You did have quite specific statements in relation to these meatballs. Now, do you normally concern yourself with these meatballs while adding to your collection of roosters?
I do not collect roosters. My people.
Oh, no. We know you don't collect roosters. I think you just embrace them into your life. That's
my mother collects roosters.
Yes.
The Portuguese people collect roosters. I do not collect roosters.
Yeah, this is more metaphor. Eric, you're in a situation where you are not the metaphor, you are the literal. Your mother actually collects roosters. We're speaking literally. You're more, euphemisms.
I'm more of a male rooster kind of, male rooster name kind of a thing. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, as opposed to female rooster?
Yeah, no, you know what I'm trying to say. I was
I was gonna say, like,
I'm
Middle
trying to
Eastern feels
say it without
redundant.
saying
It
it.
feels redundant, man. That's like saying wet
What?
water.
This is Monday. You can't wait till tomorrow.
I
for
am
your-
alluding to. I am merely look, as Bobby would say. These are,
Oh.
it's entendres. We are we are making allusions to things.
This is Monday. 5%
Eric,
more mature.
That is why we're not being explicit.
am I supposed to like the meatballs though? Because I've honestly never ate at the restaurant there. In
If
fact,
they're not in a restaurant, they walk around the store holding them in a tray with sticks in them. Filled
oh,
with
they don't
horse
do that
meat.
at ours. You must have a different one. I've
I
never
have
seen
not
anybody
been- no,
walking
listen.
around the store. Plus,
Eric
I'm going to tell you,
likes sticks with it.
Not-
Brandon,
no.
Eric likes sticks with his balls. What do you want?
I'm going to tell you, I cheat when I go to IKEA, okay? Because I also combo the trip going to the mall that is right next to IKEA, and there is a big
As opposed to
Lego
a pure
store
of
there.
heart IKEA visitor? Like, I just enjoy that you imply cheating as a thing.
Well, so what I do is I go online
Uh-huh.
and I see what they have in stock at our store,
Yeah.
hence
Okay.
these shelves. And then I look and make sure that they fit in my Jeep, because there was some other shelves I liked, but they were about 8 inches too long. So I couldn't actually get them home in my Jeep. So I've shopped to make sure I can get them in my vehicle. And then I look and see what bay they're located in for, the whole area where they got all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I go in the door, go left, go through the checkout aisle where the bay is right there. And then I just go get the stuff I need, check out and leave. I don't walk around the whole damn store. I shop online, find what I need, go get it, and leave.
But if you follow that, how would you follow Eric's path in observing the balls?
That's why I didn't even know that they walked around with them. I've never seen that. I have never seen, and I've never ate at the store. So that's my question, Eric. Am I supposed to be trying them? Are they good, or do I avoid them?
Gray horse meat.
Okay, so avoid them.
Do you like gray horse meat?
Well, you
as opposed to
experienced them. You were
as
telling
opposed
the tale,
to
so I'm trying to get a review.
Eric has been tasting all the horse meatballs.
I hate everything about IKEA. Hate it. Their furniture.
You could have stopped it. You could have stopped and hate everything.
No, I do. But IKEA, I really hate. Because every single time.
Is it because they're Swedish?
My wife or mother buys this crap and then goes, "Hey, honey, can you put this together for me?" It says on the box, it's like.
What is your white shelves?
The what?
The white shelves.
The ones that your boxes are on top of.
This is all solid wood.
That looks like cube shelves, just like those, just in white.
This is all solid wood, purchased like this, carried in, dropped here.
Okay. Well, I didn't have the problems that you had with putting this stuff together, but I will say these are like basic as can be. They don't take long at all. So
IKEA sucks.
Anyways.
And so does their meatballs.
Ooh, you should have a live IKEA meatball.
I won't eat those. I'm not eating horse meat.
Look, all I gotta say here is I feel like
You have to do it for the people, Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna say Eric has some exceedingly strong feelings about these meatballs. Meatball taste test might be critical to this. And also, I don't appreciate. Listen, Eric, this show has already declared war with the Dutch for just and justifiable reasons. Your reasons for trying to declare war was with Sweden. I don't know if I can get behind this. What have the Swedes done to us?
They brought their shitty furniture stores to our country. That's enough.
Who's your country? And most of us actually manage with IKEA shelves fine.
No, they suck.
I mean, I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5 in here. I have 2 more that I'm putting downstairs. So I've bought 7 of these so far, and I haven't had any issues.
They suck. They are the worst. I used to have my own handyman business, and customers would purchase this stuff all the time. And
the most injury-prone person I know had a handyman business.
I only cut the top of my finger off once, and that was doing work at my own house.
You take blood, and blood. I mean, blood, sweat, and tears. Literally. It's like, hey, did you stained it in red? Yes, stained it. That's a stain.
I bet you I have pictures of that still.
Josh says Eric should check out the SwedishTwins.com. May change his tune. He can add it to the same browser as Emmanuel in space.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Eric's bookmarks are going to get full soon.
So maybe now. So two things. So two things. By the way, Dan, as I said, you're more than welcome to shamelessly promote. You're welcome to sporadically just mention if you feel free. That's fine. We don't mind shameless self promotion. Go nuts. One other thing I was going to mention. Follow up to that. I should probably mention, since it is the last podcast episode / live stream podcast episode of the year, I make no pretenses to 5% more maturity. None.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Just
I
thought I
think
would
we've
share
done
that.
pretty well holding to that for over a year now.
Well, I've been, even in this episode, Brandon, I would dare say that I could have been a lot more explicit in my accusations directed at Eric. A lot more explicit, a lot more clear cut, because I think he took us down a path. As soon as he started harping on about Swedish meatballs, he took us down a path, and I did not take us down that path. Did I suggest that we should do that? I did not. So I don't know why this man would blame me for such issues. I don't say. But anyway, real quick, I wanted to make reference, since it is still a podcast episode at heart. There's still that element of it. I do want to acknowledge, because by the time this next one happens, it'll be the new year. So this is the last silly card of the week results of 2024.
Mhm.
So I do want to acknowledge, I want to thank you. We got 39 votes this past week, so very good. So we had our 3. We had the semi-mossy attempt. That did not win. My Just Deal With It, which was a really cool card, unfortunately did not win either, with 64% of the popular vote. The RIP Ricky Henderson Tribute was the winner of the last silly card of the week for 2024. So back-to-back victories for Brandon. Congratulations. I think you might have it on this one. This was actually kind of an interesting one. So what I'll do is I will showcase these. I will create a community post on the channel, which will contain the 3 cards in question. And you can vote whichever one you wish to select. So we thank you for voting on the last one. It is the last bastion of true democracy in this world. So all the votes count. You can select. So real quick, I'll go through these. I'll let you guys, if you want to describe anything to them, you certainly can. So we'll make sure that happens. And then we'll go from there. So let me share on the screen real quick.
You guys want to see me with my finger cut off?
Later.
Oh, okay.
You can save it for New Year's.
I found it.
I'm very happy for you.
It's all flapping and stuff. Oh, it was awesome.
That's a good one.
Craig Biggio with the camera. So this works on angles, people. There's angles. There's past, present, and future angles on this. So first of all, we got Craig Biggio there hanging out, being a cameraman for the day. That's pretty cool. This is 1994, I want to say, Collector's Choice Special Edition, I believe, or 95. It might be 95. Either way, it's right in that mid-90s period, so that's kind of a cool one. They did have some pretty good photos in this year, in this brand. So again, Collector's Choice is a low-end brand. I actually remember opening boxes and packs of Collector's Choice Special Edition. They're with the blue borders and the blue thing on it. So that's kind of a fun one. And then down the road, didn't the Houston Astros have some things where they were utilizing technology and...
It's funny how many
signals?
cards
A
that
trash
they
can.
have where they're using cameras, because I actually have a different, I think it's Collector's Choice. It's an upper deck card from the 90s as well, where another gentleman is behind a camera. So the Houston Astros and cameras have a lot in common.
They do indeed. So that was a selection here. So that will be one of your options available. So there it is from mid-90s period, a Collector's Choice card. Second one here, we got Eric's Mark Savard with a festive hat. Now, Eric, what does the hat say?
I think it says Merry Christmas, eh?
That's right. Come on, Eric.
He's Canadian. Because he's Canadian, and you have to say "eh" all the time.
Well, as a Canadian protector, you have to say "eh," so it works out.
I do not.
Anyway, so Mark Savard here. This is from Pinnacle. I want to say this is 2010-ish, 2010-11 Pinnacle, give or take, thereabouts. So very thematically appropriate to the season. You did just kind of narrowly miss it. It probably would have made more sense last week. But nonetheless, we got it there with the festive hat.
But I only found it this week.
Indeed. Last one here. So, Brandon, you want to explain what we're looking at on this one?
This was something I seen a post of, and then I pulled, I Googled just trying to get a little bit more information from it, and I thought it was kind of cool. So this is a 1960 Topps Mickey Mantle. It is the back of the card, obviously. And if you look at the comic there, this apparently was a little prank by the artist that was not approved, but one of these apparently got into production. I don't know if it was a pre-production or whatever, um, but it is known as the Hangover mantle, and apparently it is the rarest Mickey mantle now known to exist. As you see there, it says, I aim for the ball in the middle. Mickey led the American League in most hangover home runs in 1959. There's a story on a website called Medium that explains, it says Jack Davis, who became famous for his work with Mad Magazine, attempted to sneak the unapproved cartoon into production. I guess Sid Burger had the card.
Cyberger.
Or Cyberger, yes.
Yeah.
Had the card, I guess, gave it to his neighbor, who then handed it down to his son, and it's recently came into existence. I just thought it was cool. I'd never seen it before, seen the post, and I thought silly card kind of checks all the boxes. And a little bit of hashtag scholarship.
Yeah, I would love to get. So I'll include a link to the Median article. I do have the article. I'll include a link to it. Obviously, this is the first I've heard of it, or the first I've seen of it. The image looks legit in terms of the time period in the cartoon. So I'll say that. Like, just looking at the image, it looks appropriate based on the type of cartoon that you would have had in 60 Tops. And
The
I've got a
article
regular
actually
60
came
Tops.
out in July of 2024, and I guess the gentleman who owned it was taking it to the National that last year. So I'm assuming that it got some attention there.
I would love to have
But
seen it, though, verified by any of them. SGC, PSA, any of them. I would love for any of them to have slabbed it up and verified it, because obviously they'd be able to see the card in hand. But I love the concept. I love the concept
if
regardless.
it's
to be
not
honest.
real and this is a made up story, it's very creative and it still fits the bill for silly card of the week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So based on that list, I used the custom card this year in silly card of the week. So based on that, I'm not going to claim it's a legitimate item. We'll take it at face value. But I think based on the Eric, I think the fairest thing to do is, since I did use a custom card as one of the weeks, I will allow it. Just right now, sight unseen, I think it's only fair, and it looks legit enough on the image, so we'll allow it. I think for this one, it's a fun story anyway. Thematically, it's on brand with Mickey. I love the concept. I would love for that to be like the Holy Grail. See, if I have a ton of money and that's a legit card, I would buy that shit.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
That would be like a unique. That's a conversation piece. You got the regular 60 Tops, man. I'll check this one out.
yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet. Good evening, CC. But yeah, so like I said, I'll take it at face value. I'm not going to proclaim it to be legit, but I when you brought it to our attention, I thought that was a kind of a cool concept. So I will.
That's
I
why
will
I bought it too.
I will allow it.
I was like, hey,
I will allow it.
It's cool. The story, even if it is air quotes created, it's a fun story. Hopefully the card is real though, like that, because it looks really legit there in the image. Hopefully it's real. I mean, it's cool to uncover things like that, and a little bit of creativity to it.
Yeah, I would consider that. I would consider that to be, if that was a legitimate card, I would consider that to be a Grail card. That right there would be what. And I actually like the 60 Tops mantle anyway. 60 Tops mantle is one of my favorites, so I would consider that a pretty cool outcome. I would love for the idea. Honestly, I would love for that to have gotten into production. that would have been fun. I would have enjoyed that. But there you go. That's a fun one. So that'll be our silly. That's our last silly card of the week. It'll be the first one officially that'll conclude in 2025. So I think that'll be fun. So wanted to touch on a couple of those things. More than anything else, we're just going to hang out for a little bit. That's kind of what makes it fun. Yeah, here we go. Carlisle, good evening. Jack Davis was a renowned comic artist. Yep. And then presumably, I think from my understanding, based on the description there from Mad magazine as well.
Yeah,
So
he
definitely
went on to work for Mad Magazine and became famous.
makes sense. So I'll have a little bit of fun with this. So I'll tell you what. I have one or two things that I'll touch on. By the way, chat, if there's anything you guys would like to chat on, we certainly can. So by all means, feel free. And Amanda as well, if there's anything any of you want to chat. One other thing I'll offer. Let me offer this because, as I said, more than anything, this one is just so I don't have to do any editing. That's really the big thing with this one. And we like doing the lives. The lives are fun. We can interact with you and do with this. So this episode really doesn't have too much structure. We don't really have any news stories per se that we're going to need to touch on this week. So I'm going to make an open offer. I'm not going to do an open link because that is dangerous. And we've gotten past that point. Like, look, there are some
last time you did that.
There are some unsavory characters, some people that obsess over Swedish meatballs that appeared as a result of that. So I have been a lot more cautious.
You should.
A lot more cautious as a result of
I
that.
agree.
However, if you are in the chat and you are among some folks that you would like to potentially come on and say hello and chat for a little bit, let me know. If you have my contact, you can use Instagram or you can use my email if you have that. My email's always been there. It's available on the channel. But if it's one of those folks, if you want to come on for a little bit and chat for a bit, you're more than welcome to. We can chat with you. And more than anything, we're just going to hang out. Now, Eric, you want to do some bitching and moaning about PSA, your favorite company in the world?
I will, but I want to show my finger.
You've already shown your finger.
No. I cut the top of my finger off. That's a big.
I think next time you go from the wrist. You just go from here.
That's my pinky finger. That's an up close of my pinky finger, which is still isn't like it's kind of like
your pinky finger. You pansy. Do it with your thumb.
And cut the top of that right off. But I had a lot of work I still had to do, so I just wrapped it up in duct tape and kept working. But just took it right top of it right off.
No, I did not move. We had the discussion about IKEA earlier. I got new shelving in here and then over there. And I'm working on filling everything in. So no move, just new shelving. Redoing the room a bit. It needed a little freshen up.
Listen, the thing that frightens me is that Eric is sitting there bragging about almost cutting off part of his pinky when Zombie Ray Borg has had his entire head decapitated and he just puts it right back on.
Not true. That's not true.
Just saying. Moving on.
Not true.
You could have come up with a cooler story, like it fell off. That's why you fell off the bike.
Yeah, I was attacked by a Swedish meatball guy.
I fought a bear after I fell off a bike deep in the woods.
And then I fought the bear for a chocolate stick, and then I beat the bear.
I had a fight with a Sawzall, and it won.
Mm-hmm. Bubbles says Eric shows off wounds like they're his precious babies. I know. Bet you never got hired for another handyman job again.
I actually was so busy that I had to walk away from the whole thing because it was getting.
So they got all excited about your red staining technique, and they didn't realize how you accomplished it. They actually thought you were using stain.
I didn't have time for it anymore. It was getting too big. It was all word of mouth. And one friend would tell another friend and another friend and another. And it was getting too, I had to walk away from the whole thing because I still had a career that I had a real job. And this turned into something way bigger than I had time for. So I walked away from the whole thing.
Was it walking around a store serving meatballs? Was that your career?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That was my afternoon.
Knew that story was going somewhere.
Spend the mornings.
I was hoping it was going somewhere.
I would spend the mornings at Walmart being a greeter because I have such a wonderful personality.
And you liked handing out the little stickers.
So real quick, I'm muting Eric so I can finish this. What I was going to say is my concern was that this was going to be a story that didn't go anywhere. Dangerous. Again, if you watch my year-end video, there was a whole segment, a little clip on Nick Foligno. And there are some people who brag about knowing Nick Foligno, while most reasonable people say, who the fuck is Nick Foligno? Just throwing it out there. I won't say who, but I'm saying someone would brag about such things. And then myself and the Burrell go like, who the fuck's Nick Foligno? And ironically, several members of the Foligno family go, who the fuck is Nick Foligno?
He is the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks right now.
And yet, the family doesn't even know who he is. My God.
His dad was Mike Foligno, played in the NHL for like 20 years.
Oh my God. That's amazing. And yet I am unmoved. Anyway, Bobbles says, home improvement with Eric, the two-man Borland. Say hi to Jonathan Taylor Thomas for my wife. There you go. Did your store get in the Boston boxes this week so you could open one? Yes, the infamous Boston Bruins Centennial hobby boxes that Eric doesn't open cases of.
I haven't been to work in a week, so I don't know. But
That's not a very good excuse.
aware of.
You should have had him like call you the second the boxes are in and your order of Swedish meatballs. No, don't tell them about that. It all comes full circle. Indeed. So there you go, Josh. That's the answer to your question. So real quick, I wanted to have kind of a follow-up. I was having a little bit of fun. Basically, the holiday is always kind of an interesting period because you don't want to reach out to too many people. But you know, like for me, the holidays are again, my family just lives a couple blocks down the road, so it's not a very long trek for me. We did the Christmas Eve special and everything, but then I came back to the house for Christmas Day. But I wait basically until Boxing Day, you know, the day after Christmas and such, before I reach out to anybody. But there was a guy that I'd been talking to about a deal for the dentist PC all the way back in September. And we weren't able to come to a deal, but I said, all right, I'll circle back around. So I figured, all right, end of December. It's been like 3-4 months. That's enough time. I'll reach out and just see if they change their mind. So I said, hey, do you still have this card? So this is kind of an etiquette discussion, but also at the same time, a discussion on delusion. So the etiquette was I had waited a while. So first thing I say is like, hey, you know, happy holidays. Just out of curiosity, do you still have the card? He comes back to me and says, yeah. It comes back to me like a day later. He goes, yeah, no, holidays and everything. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Obviously, I'm not going to rush him. But he goes, yeah, I got it. He didn't move off the price at all. If you've been holding something for months and months and months and months and obviously haven't found any takers, I was sitting there like, I would think you would want to. And this is something we've talked about before. And I've discussed this. Comps are great. But one important thing, and I've reiterated this before. Whenever you sell something on eBay, you then have to factor in that you're also going to be deducting like 12, 13-ish% for eBay fees, etc. So your take home is actually less. So if it's $100, you're actually taking home 86, 87 bucks, realistically. Again, not counting shipping, whatever, that could be a separate conversation. But you're not taking home $100. If it's a $100 sale, it's not $100 that you get, is my point. So you factor that in. If you're dealing with something off eBay, on Instagram or directly through contact, I said, okay, I'm going to offer you this. And what I did is I kind of reverse engineered it. And in this case, what made me laugh with this guy was that he didn't have any comps. So I gave him the closest comp possible. He goes, okay, where'd you get that? I go, that's the one that I bought. So it's my comp. You know, I'm the one who bought it. But what the best part is, that was in September. Then in this one, he's still trying to argue with me at the end where it becomes clear to me that we're not going to be able to get something done. He doesn't want to move off his price. And I'm like, fine. And I don't want to pay it. So I'm like, okay, fine. So then he goes, it's like, but would you do this? It's only a couple of dollars off the last comp on this thing. And I go, scroll up. That comp is the comp that I gave you from the one that I bought. My price is based on your take home. So if you want an eBay price, put it on eBay. I'll pay that price. And then you're still going to get what I actually offered you. Or you could just take the take home, which is what I was offering you directly. But sometimes I think, and he's a younger guy as far as I can tell from his Instagram and everything, some of these guys negotiate themselves right out of a deal. Mm-hmm. They just don't get it's about how much money you take away. It's not the number at the front end. It's after fees and costs and whatever it costs you to get the card out the door. That's the real number. What did you actually collect? And I was just rolling my eyes at that point. I was like, you're not getting it. I've tried explaining it to you 3 ways from Sunday. I've even provided the comps but if I'm the highest bidder, Eric, who's going to outbid me then? If you ever put it on eBay, there's a good chance I'm going to win it, and I'm probably going to win it cheaper, and then we're taking off the 13%.
Yeah, I used to, when I would set up at shows, I always factored in, you have the eBay comp, but then I knew I had some room and that I was still going to make more money because, like you said, fees I usually calculate somewhere around 15% just because they take it out of the shipping and the tax and all that other stuff. Fair. So, just as an easy number, 15%. But I knew at the show I could sell it 10% less than eBay and I was still making more money. But there's another element to this that's always cracked me up too, and I'm not going to throw any names out there to call anybody out, but I've seen it done recently. Mm-hmm. People that take, and you can name XYZ company, an XYZ grading company. And for the most part, if they're one of the main companies, you're going to be about in the same spot. Mm-hmm. But they'll take the card that's already graded and send it to PSA. They'll crack it out and send it to PSA. They've already paid, in some cases, to have it graded once. In a video I watched recently, this person paid to have the grading done with SGC.
Mm-hmm.
Then they cracked them out and sent them to PSA. And then the theory of, well, now they're worth more. When you look at what the cards sell for, even in PSA, if you're talking $40, $50, $60 cards, and you add up what you've paid for SGC grading, and then you add up what you're paying for PSA grading, and you add up what you paid for the shipping and everything else, you literally just lost money. Like the difference in the two companies' numbers, you just lost money. And just because you now have it in the PSA slab, maybe will help you move it easier, but you just lost money. But it's worth more now. No, it's not. You just spent money to lose money. That's all you did. I don't understand that part of it either.
He could sell it tomorrow and he won't make the money back that he's put into this thing.
You could sell it for $15 cheaper in one slab versus the other.
Yeah.
But because the mindset is, well, I sold it for 25 instead of 40, I lost money. Instead of, I just spent, I don't know, we'll call it an even $18 for the grading cost and shipping to get it now in the PSA slab, you actually lost $3.
Mm-hmm.
But the sale price on eBay was then 40 instead of 25. So you sold it for more, but made less. It makes no damn sense.
So
none.
The key point that I take away from this is that my opinion, especially, and I use that logic in the negotiation, is that yeah, in this scenario, by offering less, I'm saving money. But since in this case, I'm actually offering to buy it off platform, I'm actually allowing you to retain more of the money. So in turn, what I'm really looking at is what do you actually end up getting out of the transaction? And that was the basis of my offer. My offer was based on why should I pay it when you're asking for a similar price to what it would go for on eBay. And I'm saying this hypothetically because I think in the hypothetical, it actually might be lower than my offer. But hypothetically, even if it matched this idea, as soon as we deduct fees and we deduct all those things, it winds up being a wash. And if that's the case, then you're losing out. You're losing out on saving the middleman, and you haven't actually gained it. Basically, what you're trying to do, you're actually trying to get an extra 13%. What you're really doing as the seller is you're trying to be slick, and you're actually trying to pocket the difference in the fee instead of actually getting the real take bill home.
It's Zach's point there about, like, I get that whole thing. My point was, as a dealer, I knew I could at least discount 10% on the eBay price and still make more money. Because the tax, I'm not seeing that money anyway. Like, I'm not seeing the tax. So on a buyer's end, yes, you could say, well, I'm not paying the tax, so, there's a wash there. But to move cards, if you need to take a little bit less, you're actually making more money if you just have that little bit of negotiation, little bit of wiggle room. You can sell more stuff and make more money than putting it on eBay and getting the comps. Like, everybody looks at eBay as the end all be all on pricing, but they're only looking at that sold number. They're not looking at what's actually going into the bank account. And that's the important number. I don't care that the card sold for $100. You really only made about 85. That's the important number. So if Carlos is offering 92, well, off of eBay, the guy's actually making more money. So
yeah. So that's why I say, like, it was a win-win situation. It would be less money for me out of pocket, but at the same time, you would actually end up getting more money out of the deal. So that's why I was trying to get across to this guy is like, you realize I'm actually making you a better offer than the comp you're actually trying to use, which, by the way, I provided to you. But you know what my favorite part was in that discussion, guys? My favorite part was that part of his justification, he goes, it's like, well, one of the PMGs sold for $1,200. And I'm like, it sold for $1,250. And that was also the one that I bought. And both times I literally told the guys, like, why don't you try looking at my Instagram before you quote me a number? I'm literally like, look at my Instagram. It's pinned to the top of the Instagram. You're quoting me a number. It's like, I'm the one who bought it.
Do you think that worked against you, that maybe he knew it and he thought that for one, you reaching back out to him,
Yeah.
two, him seeing what you paid on the other stuff, and maybe he did know it was yours?
Mhm.
Do you think that maybe it worked against you because he thought that he could hold you to a higher number because you had paid that before?
So I think yes and no. The short answer is I think it may have played. Part of it was that, like I said, I think the fact that he was using the exact same quoting the exact same one, he may as well have just said you paid that before. That's why I don't give him that much credit. I don't give because I don't think he was able to put two and two together like he forgot. And literally, if he had scrolled up a little bit more in the Instagram chat, he would have been able to look that up because again, it was the information was still there. So he was only paying half attention. The problem was this. It hold it against me, yes, but the problem is like in the same vein as what I'm talking about, because I already have those other cars in the collection. Another one would be a nice to have. That's why I kind of down. I basically counteracted by saying, look, it's a nice to have. It's not a need.
Hmm.
I am interested in buying the card to add it to said collection, but I've got other ones like and I'm willing to pay good, strong money for it. But if you're being ridiculous, well, then I can just say no, and then you're still sitting there with the card. And again, if you ever go to market for it, if you ever go to open market for it, there's a good chance that I will be the highest bidder. And if that turns out to be the case, if I am the highest bidder at that time, there's a good chance it'll be for less.
Oh
The
yeah,
next time I offer, it'll be lower. So that's
especially
why.
you said it like a few months back, but that the
Mhm.
comps were there. So
The
yeah.
product isn't getting any hotter. That's the thing. I think some folks are like, this, the product is not getting any hotter. So like, don't overthink it. If you actually want to sell it, then at some point you have to. Normally, the best time for a lot of new products, unless a character or athlete or whoever is getting hotter for whatever reason, unless that's happening, usually the best time is right around the time of release. The further you get away from release, the more things have cooled down. There's other stuff that becomes interesting to people. They stop paying attention to it. The PMG was a special case because right now, out of three PMGs that could exist, only one has even surfaced. So I was willing to be a lot more aggressive. That's a more special piece. I literally own the comp to this item because I've already bought it. So I own the other one. So that's why I was like, it's the DJ Khaled. Congratulations, you played yourself. Just
Yeah.
stop. Just stop. Good evening. Good afternoon. Well, actually, global in Australia. Morning. Good morning. Early
It might
afternoon.
be Happy New Year over the. Oh no, it'd be New Year's Eve.
Well, I was saying Happy New Year. So let me see. Australia ahead of us? I believe so. Maybe. Trying to
They're
remember.
ahead, but it would still be New Year's Eve.
Let's see here. Right now, I see 1:24 p.m. December 31st.
Yeah, so they're
So
still New Year's Eve.
all right. So afternoon, but afternoon on Tuesday. So good afternoon, global. But yes. The hell are you eating?
I got a little treat.
Oh, the white trees. Yeah. Reese's makes like they know how to make the perfect size for like the eggs and the trees and all that. Yeah. Like the cups are okay, but when they do them little special ones, and like I'm not even a big white chocolate fan, but the proportion, the size proportion to it is always perfect.
Can't argue.
Mm-hmm. Dan here is saying VCP should compute eBay comps minus 13%. The seller doesn't receive. So I've actually had, so I think it's a fair point. I think it's one of those things where I always, when comps are weird, because I understand that we're sitting on them, but it's almost like, it's the same thing as when you're buying something. I've talked about it from both sides. When you're buying something, there's oftentimes extra costs that weigh into it. When we're talking about buyer price, we're also not including shipping. If you're international, handling, customs, all these additional fees that may come as a result of it. Understandably so. I get that. But then when you're a seller, like, if you sell the item for $1,000 and eBay takes 13-15%, it's not $1,000. It's like $850. By the way, it's still a lot of money, but $150 is a big difference, right? It's not the same thing. So when you're selling, if you sell something for $900 at a show, you actually made more money. Just like it's interesting the way that whole comps thing can work when you don't factor in the fees that are part of the cost of doing business. Ham says, white chocolate isn't real. It's the worst form of sugar to eat. Farewell, Alec. Your wife will be taken care of as well. Well, as long as you're willing to take care of it. That's very considerate of you, Ham.
Thanks, Ham. You're a great friend. Thanks a lot, bud.
Well, that's
I'll
what you
tell
get for
you,
getting...
after doing this CGC order, I can tell why people enjoy bulk submitters. I kind of talked about it when I did the JSA reveal, but when I did it, I sent 50 cards in, but they split the JSA from the other 48 cards that I just had graded. And so there was 2 return shipping charges. And so for the 48 cards, I paid $30 return shipping. And for the 2 cards, I had to pay an additional $20 because they were shipped separately. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, 2 cards and $20 return shipping. Like when I send people stuff back, 2 cards is probably, I don't know, $6, you know, and depending on if they want a bunch of insurance or whatever, but it's cheap. Like it's really cheap. And it's 30 cards I can probably ship for, I don't know, $15 maybe, $12, $15 somewhere in there. So I was like, man, I see why people, if they have someone they can trust, prefer a bulk submitter, because the shipping savings is probably outside of the grading cost savings, the shipping savings are probably pretty heavy if you do it regularly. So
yeah, it can be. There's a convenience factor to it as well. But yeah, I kind of agree. I just appreciate that, you know, he feigns concern for you in the first half of the conversation. Then afterwards, he's already ready to off you. That's a proper Florida man right there.
No, he's a horrible human being.
I don't know what to tell you, man. This is a rough crowd here, Eric. So kind of, you know, mazel tov and congratulations to everybody. So right now, based on this live, the channel has surpassed 14 days of runtime. 2-week vacation. Suckers.
just for the year, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that had to be
Just for the year 2024. Just for the year 2024.
Every episode we do feels like it's 2 weeks.
What a coincidence. In 2025, I was planning on like 2-week marathons where we would just leave you on for 2 straight weeks. Figured that would be very exciting. You could have, you could eat Swedish meatballs.
Nope.
You know, there could be a lot of that. You could review Emmanuel in Space.
I will not.
It's good, wholesome family programming.
I don't believe it is.
I'm sure someone's family would accept it. If they have any questions.
Yeah, the Manson family.
So this seems to make it more endearing. You're like, well, I don't know what the issue is, Eric.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. I'm not even looking it up. I don't even want to know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Brandon. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, feel free to pile on though, because right now we're getting Eric good. We're getting Eric good.
Well, I can't pile on the Emmanuel in Space inside joke because I have no clue what the hell it is either. It's
good,
just always
wholesome
funny when
family
you brag
programming.
on it, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what it is because I have no clue. So
It's something that if you Google it, it's going to download some kind of virus to your phone. So don't do it.
I don't need any of that. I have enough technical issues with my damn computer and stuff half the time. I don't need any assistance.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I need to
so hold on.
upgrade
Look, all I got to say about this, is that you're going to try to use that angle, but at the same time, you're the same man who eats, buys, and probably frequents message forums for chocolate sticks. So you're saying Emmanuel in Space doesn't cause viruses in your computer, but chocolate sticks are perfectly fine. Are you sure?
Listen, I like chocolate sticks.
And you put them in your mouth. Go on.
Because they're not healthy for me.
Uh-huh.
I have not had one probably since Yannick was here.
Oh, I thought you were going to say since yesterday. Since 2 hours ago.
No. So, I don't know, last month or whatever it was.
Look, all we've learned tonight is that you like having sticks and balls in your mouth.
Oh, good Lord.
He did say the balls was on a stick. He did say that.
That's what I'm... Well, okay, fine. A ball and a stick in his mouth. Fine.
They're made of horse meat.
So Eric, you like a horse's stick
Brandon,
with the ball.
Brandon, he prefers horse stick and balls. Look, here's the thing. I don't see what the problem is here. as Bobby would say, I am hurt that you would concern yourself with innuendo. I am not. I am merely a man of peace, simply stating facts. What do you have to say for yourself?
I got nothing.
So, Brandon, did I make clear earlier that I make no pretensions to 5% more maturity tonight?
Yeah.
I believe I made that
You
abundantly
did.
clear. I believe I stated that. And Brandon, I was able to do all that with a smirk on my face, but nonetheless, I did not break into a full cackle. I could have broken into a full cackle, but I did
I mean,
not.
Eric, I
Brought this on himself. He literally
you
brought it in.
literally go into when we're talking about all of that, and you say, but it's made of horse meat, like mid conversation of it. So you kind of just served it up.
Oh, listen, at this point right now, Eric is alley-ooping and I'm prime Shaq. I'm just like dunking and dunking, shattering backboards. Like there's a lot going on.
I do know who Shannon Tweed is.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's
Zach
married
here
to Steve Simmons.
Indeed. Zach here says, and I bet they watch Emmanuel in Space. It's good family entertainment. So Zach says, to what Brandon was saying, VCP is taken from multiple sources. I've seen auctions houses I'm not super familiar with. There might even be a buyer's premium, so comparing comp systems with black and white. Buyer's premium is another thing too. That does kind of play into some of the... See, we can deal with Eric's depravity. Horrific depravity. And now we bring it back.
Headache.
And speak on proper items. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for restoring our faith in humanity. But yes, a buyer's premium kind of plays into the comps as well. Like it messes up the... That's why I say like comps are fun, but we always wind up in this weird spot with these numbers because sometimes there's mitigating circumstances to the numbers. That's why I said like realistically, there is, realistically, that isn't what the seller actually takes home. We're not always taking into account shipping. We're not taking into account the additional costs. If it's an auction house, there's a buyer's premium. There can be some costs associated to that as well. So then when you're looking at it, sometimes you're trying to figure it out like, okay, so yeah, it's this price, but that's with the buyer's premium. So the real final auction price was 20% less, but then the total you paid out was plus 20% because of the buyer's premium. So it's like, fine, that's what you actually ended up having to pay. So I suppose that's valid. But then on eBay, it's kind of the opposite. What does the seller actually get? The auction house gets a piece, and I guess it's like, so for an auction house, you're saying that's how much it costs me to buy the item. You're including the buyer's premium. You're saying that's the cost, so that's the comp. But then on eBay, you're not including the additional costs, so it doesn't count. It's weird. We're kind of trying to play both sides on this one. So I just find that kind of interesting that you wind up in this situation where it's like, okay, fine. So then what's the real comp? You're trying to compare a similar... For vintage, you wind up with this problem, I think, a little bit more because the auction houses. So you buy a vintage card. Let's say it's not the most obscure card. It actually sells regularly. But then in the auction house, it's this price. On eBay, it's this price. But then maybe the cost you do... And again, with vintage comps, I hate vintage comps too, by the way, because you've got the condition spectrum. You got eye appeal, yeah. So you say, even if you say, oh, PSA 5, cool.
Oh,
but that PSA 5 is way nicer than that PSA 5, so that's why that PSA 5 went for more than that one.
Well, let's go even further, because then you have old cert versus new cert, and then I appeal from that cert to, it's difficult. Like, just buy the damn card you want at the price you want. That's
I agree.
The only way you can go about it.
I agree, but I'm just saying, look, again, we can be both sides of the spectrum. We can deal with Eric's depravity, but then we can also speak on matters of serious import to the collector, and that is, it's complicated. It's not as cut and dry as like, no, these are nuances you have to take into account as well. These are real things where it's like, yeah, okay, fine. You want to play in the vintage game? Fine. Okay, I appeal.
The other thing that, I don't pay like attention to him, but I will credit him because I remember him saying it many years ago. I don't know how many it was now, 3, 4, whatever. But the Hoj made a point one time that
the Hoj
comps are also just the last sale because you may not have another buyer that's willing to pay that. So sellers are always trying to use them to maximize their dollar, by going at or above the last sale. But the last person that paid that may be the last person that'll pay that. So, it's a guide, it's a general number, it's an idea, but it should never be the end all be all. I mean, it really shouldn't. So,
I'd agree.
and
I'd agree.
again, I don't pay much attention to it, but I can agree with that. Just because the last person paid that don't mean, that's what I would pay. So sometimes people would pay more. I've seen cards that are sold that I missed, and I was like, damn, I would have paid more than that. So it can go both ways, but I think in most instances, that person may be the last person that would pay that price. And that's another reason why it's on eBay. It's annoying as hell when everybody's like, would you take 20? Would you take 100? Would you, because they see what the last one sold and they're trying to get their little discount. So.
Yeah. So kind of to your point, that happens, in the AW stuff, I've both capitalized on it and also been on the other end where the seller tries to capitalize on it. Same idea. There'll be folks that a new product comes out, somebody pulls something, they list it up on eBay with a low buy it now. I've had really extreme examples. I've had ones where literally the price made no sense. And I was looking right at it. I was go, buy it now. Boom. I bought it. Literally, Brandon, in the time it took it to come to me, I took another picture with my iPhone. I didn't even take a lot of time on it. I took a couple of images, front and back of the iPhone, went and put it right back up on eBay and resold the thing for 6 times what I bought it for. Because the buy it now was wrong. The person didn't really do any research. So here's the question. But the comp says, well, the comp was me. The comp was I bought it and I knew the price was wrong and it's actually a tough card. And then I relisted it for probably something more appropriate. I got an offer that was multiple times what the comp was because the other person realized there's no more on eBay and all of a sudden they were willing to pay it.
Do you put that in the listing? Did you put that in the description? I picked this up on eBay for $4. I realized what it was. I mean, do you say that so when they go and look at the comp?
No, absolutely not. You can go look up Terry Peak yourself.
This is, but I'm asking 1,000, and that's what it's worth, and that's what So
yeah. And my answer, by the way, if somebody ever came and said to me, it's like, yeah, I'm the one who bought it. I thought the price it was underpriced, and truthfully, I don't care. I believe it is worth more in line with this. It is open to best offer. I will listen to offers, and the person who made an offer on it made a reasonable offer, I thought, and I accepted that offer.
Here's a fun question. Because years ago, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years ago on eBay, 20 years ago even on eBay. Damn, it's getting old.
Ooh, scandalous. The dawn of time.
It was always, the question was, like when somebody said, I don't know what this is worth, it was always referred, it's worth what someone will pay. We heard that over and over, right?
Yeah.
And auctions were a lot more commonplace back then than they are today. You do have your consigners running auctions and stuff, but even general sellers, like auctions were the common thing. It wasn't a ton of buy it now and stuff. There is something I've not heard anyone talk about yet, and maybe nobody's noticed it because I found it in the notes thing in my seller dashboard. But eBay has been working hard on cutting down on non-payment. They actually said they've eliminated over 50% of unpaid items on the platform. So they are improving the unpaid item thing. And I think a lot of folks outside of getting, they feel they don't get as much for cards when they sell them on auction. I think part of it too was people were afraid that, items were going unpaid. With the new immediate payment thing, there's always been the question of, running auctions and the immediate payment, and do people combine shipping and all that. There's a post up here. It was made December 17th. It's in a very limited market right now, but they're open up a 7-day window for combined shipping. So if you are a seller that offers combined shipping, the buyer can, if they win an auction, there's going to be like an option where they can do, I forgot what they worded it. Shop more, ship together. So
Oh, okay.
if they win an auction from you, they can select that. And then if you have other stuff on auction, they can, try to win those. And if you combine shipping, once they're done winning the auctions over the course of a 7-day period, they can request an invoice with your combined shipping. And then, it's checkout, auto pay, whatever. Or they can do, pay now, or anytime during the 7-day window, they can go ahead and check out. Do you think that people will, if this works well and gives a good option, sellers don't have to worry about unpaid stuff? Do you think this could start opening up more auctions in sports cards? Because people are always looking for them to be liquid. And if you can run a 7-day auction on stuff rather than, having to put up buy it now best offer, you can, list 50 cards a week, run auctions or whatever, and then you're constantly churning, even if you're only doing half of them, you're selling 25 cards a week. I've just been curious about that. Now, if we do go back into a heavier auction style in the sports card market, I think we also would start seeing maybe, I don't know if I want to say accurate, but more interesting on the comp side of things, because then you're getting that auction end price and not, well, I won $100 for this, you got to pay me $100 or you can't have the card kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think this
So
can help.
I think you're bringing up an interesting question. So I think, and actually I would love to get the chat's thought on this. You're talking about entering into a fun little game that the buyers and sellers are playing. And what I mean by that is auctions will give you the most accurate version of what the current market is. So I'll put it that way. But I'm going to make a separation. That's separate from what the most is that the market will bear. I'm making a distinction. I'm talking about what the market is, because the market in an auction means the market is, what am I? So let's say I'm the high bidder. The market is, what am I, the high bidder, willing to pay above the second highest bidder? So that's the auction. The auction means I only need to be one level above the next highest. Example. I go on eBay and something is up for auction. I put in a snipe. My snipe is $300. Eric is the next highest. He wants it. He's very excited. He's gung ho. He's ready to make his bid, and he makes a bid at $120. Well, the next increment is $125. So we'll call it $5 increments. I win it for $125. That's the result. That's the comp. I would have been willing to pay $300 if it had come to that. You will never realize that. But at the same time, I was basically willing to dunk on top of him and smash the backboard if it was required to win the thing, because that was the price I was willing to pay. But because of the format, I only need to be one increment above. So the answer is 125 in this case, because that's one increment above the next highest bid. And in some markets where it's thinner, then you've only got one more, you only have to be that. So then the next time one goes for sale, assuming it's not a 1-of-1, the next time one goes for sale, well, Eric is willing to pay $120. Let's say he's still willing to pay $120, but the next person was only willing to pay $90. Now the result will be $95. And the reason for that is not because Eric wasn't willing to pay more than $95. It's because the next person was only willing to pay $95. And that's what happens with the auction. Yeah.
And the reason I brought this up is because we were talking comps. Now, in the current situation, somebody says, I don't know what this is worth, so I'm going to list it high. And maybe their high was 300. Well, now you were willing to pay 300. So you hit buy it now. Well, now everybody else out there that has this card that wants to sell it is trying to stick to that comp of $300 when the next person that was willing to buy it was Eric at 120. And that goes back to the whole just because the last person paid that doesn't mean anyone else is anywhere close. And that's why I think the auctions could give us a more accurate, situation. Now you're obviously probably going to see downturns because
Oh, you will. Like, if we're talking straight up, there's very few, unless it is a truly desirable item. So let me make a caveat here. If you're talking about a true rarity with a lot of demand, those ones will do well in auction, because then you don't want to play the guessing game. The buy it now best offer is murky if you're not, if it's your encyclopedia. If it's something that's rare enough, that's desirable enough, you're kind of better off fielding offers, because then it allows you to, the person who's making the offer then has to use some strategery and has to decide for themselves, what are you willing to pay? Not what would you win in the auction if we play this game, but the question is, so that's where you're going to get closer to that $300 number in my hypothetical. You're going to get closer to it because I have to make an offer that I think you'll accept, and I'm kind of guessing in the dark. So as opposed to an auction where, like, okay, then I'll just put my bid, my snipe for whatever number I'm okay, I can live with, and then that's it. We'll let the chips fall where they may. But that the likelihood of me getting to that maximum, like, it can happen. It can. There are some items where I've had my, like, what I felt was a strong number, and I got blown out of the water. That totally happens. There are other times though where I legit bid 2 or 3 times what the final total was, because in my mind I said, okay, I think for me, I would be okay with this price. Well, as it turns out, I vastly overshot where other people were thinking, but it worked out in my favor because I only had to pay 1 increment over the next highest bid, so it didn't matter. But I was willing to pay that price. Like, if I had wanted at that price, I would have paid. So it's not really a mega bid in this case. I wasn't bidding a gratuitous number just for the hell of it. I was bidding, like, in my mind, I thought that just in case, this gives me enough of a buffer where I'll still win and get a price that I can live with. That was my number.
I think the fun thing with auctions too is because, let's go back to the scenario of you and Eric bidding, and you bid 300.
Yes,
You
I'm
get
going to
those
crush that peasant.
situations sometimes
Crush him.
where
What?
you get the situation sometimes where the people have the FOMO and they're like, I don't want to pay, and it goes to the mega bid thing, but I don't want to pay this, but I don't want to lose this. And so they'll slap a stupid number on there, not thinking that someone else has that same thing and doesn't want to lose it. And so then you do see this number that's higher.
Yeah,
and so
it can happen. Totally.
It kind of sets a higher than expected price. So that's why I think auctions are fun, especially in cards. I mean, you see people hunting for deals on auctions all the time. I get that, but I think they give us a more realistic value, especially in the ultra modern space with so much stuff being out there today. Well, you got like 60 parallels and everybody's trying to figure out, well, this one is, 200, this one must be 189.99, and like you're trying to go by the serial numbers. Auction them. Just like you said, let the chips lie where they may, and let us set the values.
Yeah, I think, like I said, and I'm not being contradictory when I say this. I'm just being truthful. As a seller, I love buy it now best offer because it allows me to potentially extract the maximum value. As a buyer, I always would prefer auction.
Right.
Because there are occasions where I'll get outbid. It happens, but oftentimes if I get outbid, it means like, oh, I think you overpaid. Usually if I'm making an aggressive bid for it, like, if you overshot me, like, okay, then I guess you really wanted it. Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, as a seller, I almost prefer it. What's funny, so I'll give you a true story. I mentioned that I had shipped out a couple of things today. Now that the Canada Post is back to work temporarily, at least for the moment, all of a sudden stuff on eBay is starting to sell for me as a seller. And I'll read names comment here in a second. I think it's a good one. But so I had a card that actually sold. I had a CM Punk printing plate that I had. So for the wrestling, I had a CM Punk printing plate. It had been there for a while. I had put a price that I thought was okay for it, with best offer. I had somebody reach out and say, I'd like, make an offer. And I looked at it and I said, okay, yeah, I can live with that price. That's fine. So I accepted it. They paid right away. Great. So I printed up the label and everything, put it on the envelope, and then added it to a pile to ship. And I dropped it off, and it's already on its way. But here's the thing. Literally, as the auction closed, I get a message from another buyer. And the buyer goes, "Hey, did this actually sell, or did you just take it down?" And I'm sitting there going like, and apparently this guy had been watching it. And, he was reaching out to me because it's so, I'd be interested in it. But you weren't interested in it enough to make an offer. Like this other person made an offer. Sometimes people get too cute. So my point that I'm making, Brandon, is sometimes people get too cute with the auction, even with buy now best offer. The thing was sitting there for a while with the same price with the buy now best offer. People were watching it, but nobody was making an offer.
Mhm.
My minimum threshold was actually pretty low. I was willing to at least entertain some numbers, but literally this person came out of left field, low feedback bidder and everything, but they actually made an offer that I thought was fair, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can live with that. That's fine. So I was like, we'll see. It's a low feedback bidder. We'll see. They paid within like 20 minutes, man. I accepted and they paid within 20 minutes, and I was like, okay, fine. Here's your address, shipping, tracking. Take care of the whole. I'm going to print out the label, take care of the business, drop it off, got it scanned, boom, done. This other person comes out of left field and goes, "Hey, I would have bought that." It's like, well, then why didn't you make an offer? If you wanted it, it was there. It was available. You could have reached out. Why did you wait until it was sold? I can't help you there, man. I don't know what to tell you. This is the game. So name here is saying, I lost an 0304 Black Diamond 2-2 rookie clarity out of 10. Those are tough, by the way. The 0304 was a tough year. The seller had another and said at 250 Canadian, buy it now the same night. I immediately paid the buy it now price. See, you raised the comp, name. You raised the comp. You had a sale and then you raised the comp even further. And haven't seen another. Yeah. If it's a tougher card, and I actually want to touch on a player collector topic since name brings it up. My point is, and maybe this is my overarching point on this segment. Sometimes we try to get too cute. If you have a budget and you're trying to mind your budget, I respect that. I really do. I respect it. And I think it's good. If you've got a budget and you've got other, things going on, and it's like, hold the line, man. This is a hobby. This is for fun, again, Eric only gave up one of his kidneys to buy all that shit behind him. So only one. He kept the other one. So, kidney responsibly.
They told me I had to.
Yeah. So kidney responsibly. But if you've got a legitimate budget and you really need to hold to it, hey, hold the line, man. Dude, hold the line. Most of this stuff will be available again. It's not the end of the world one way or the other. If it's disposable income and you can afford to splash around a little bit, trying to save a couple of bucks almost never is worth it if it's something you actually are interested in, if it's something you actually want. If that's the case, then if you don't want to, then there's going to be somebody like me who will come over the top and go, well, fuck this. Here you go. Because I don't care. I have no conscience when it comes to that stuff. If it's something I actually want. But if you're screwing around and playing games like that guy that I was saying earlier with the negotiation there, if he had played it differently, I might have even paid his price. But because he was screwing around and being stupid, and I'm saying it now, you're pissing me off. Now our final distance price wise, Brandon, between his price and my price was $50. For $50, I'll leave it on the shelf. It's the principle of the thing. Like I'm not going to play this game. Like you're being an idiot. So for $50, I'll leave it on the shelf. We could have probably you might have even been able to get there if you had just not tried to overplay your hand. So Eric, you were going to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been wanting to find, you guys are doing a really good job, but I've been thinking about this for a while and even before today. And I just wanted to find a spot to jump in, and I want to get it done before we sign off. So
go ahead.
An argument could be made, devil's advocate, whatever you want to call it, just for conversation piece. I have said before to people that an argument could be made that you shouldn't even be looking at eBay for comps on cards because there's no advertisement for the products. Think about how much traffic is on eBay on the seller side and the buyer side. There are millions of things online. You're not going to find them all. Not everybody's looking for that exact thing. So your product may sit there for a long period of time, or one person may find it. I've always said that the true comps are auction houses that have the game worn jersey, the PSA 10 Gretzky, the highest graded mantle, whatever, that had those for months in their possession, advertised the hell out of it. So anybody that would have any interest in a SGC 10 mantle would find in that 2-month span would find out through the grapevine, through their connections, whatever, would hear about it. Now you actually have all the people that are interested and all the people who have the money to spend now are all battling each other in an auction. That's a true comp where I might put this, Marcel card back on tomorrow, and it may sit there for 3 months because no one typed in Marcel, game use stick. Or it may go in whatever the allotted time is for the auction, or buy it now in 10 minutes because one person found it. So I've always argued that the comps on eBay don't make sense because it's hit or miss. You don't know what's on there. You might fall into it. You might type the right words. You might be in the mood to buy a Marcel stick card today, where last week you weren't.
Let me ask you one thing though, Eric. And going with your theory here, where have you bought more cards? At a private auction house or on eBay?
No, on eBay, of course.
Okay. You are like the majority of the people in the sports card hobby. The other aspect to eBay that has a benefit over anywhere else really is everybody in the world is on that site. Like Japan, Korea, UK, Canada, Australia, everywhere can all go to the same site and find your item. I'll tell you now, I have never bought a card from Golden, Heritage, any of them. In fact, I don't even waste my time there. PWCC, I used to use it for reference material because they had history, data, sales history for like 11 years, whatever it was. I liked that on their site. Didn't care about going on there buying anything. There's tons of sites out there that offer selling cards. None of them have the traffic that eBay does. So when you're saying that there's more stuff on there, there is also way, way, way more people shopping on there. So if anything, the comps are more relevant than anywhere else because you have a massive buyer pool that are dictating the numbers rather than Joe Schmo with a big wallet. Your Marcel card, little Timmy that wants a Marcel isn't going on Golden auctions to pay a buyer premium on a card from an auction house. I mean,
I understand what you're saying. For Joe Average, obviously eBay is the place to go. I'm talking about true comps. That was the topic of discussion. It isn't about what's easiest for us or makes the most sense for us. This was conversation about comps. And if you want true, fair, competitive comps on items purchased, my argument would be the ones at the auction houses that advertised them for 2 months and then had an auction. Those comps are more real than if you type in Marcel stick card, you'll see I had the last sale for $20.
You do know that if you go on Google and type in Marcel Dion, you're going to get listings from eBay because eBay advertises a lot.
There's actually one thing that I think you guys have brought up some very see now. Good job by you. You folks have brought up some actually very interesting nuances though. So Brandon, now we enter into the realm of nuance. All right, we're done with Eric's Swedish meatballs. We're entering into the realm of nuance. It's about to get good. It's about to get real good because I want to touch on a few things, but I like where you're going with this. So let me read a couple comments here. eBay should really block sniping software. So let me touch on this first. So first, hard no. Because just from a practical purposes, there's some auctions that end in the middle of the night. And look, I'm a night owl. I don't mind, but I don't need to sit there and death stare. I don't want to be death staring an eBay auction personally. Like even as we're talking tonight, I have had one auction that ended that had that I had a snipe set for. I got outbid, but that's okay. I made my offer at the price that I was comfortable with. They outbid me. Fair enough. No problem. I was the underbidder on that, Eric. Just one level above me. They just barely outbid me, but guess what? They were willing to pay that. Cool. No problem. As we're talking right now, there's another thing that I've got on there. Now, this is interesting because, again, even the course of us talking tonight, I have a snipe set for another one that's going to end in about 25 minutes, give or take. And what's funny about it is that I've adjusted my price because I lost the first one. So I adjusted my snipe on the second one. So what if I happen to be right in the middle of talking to you for a couple minutes from now and my eyes don't divert over to my left and I miss it? Right now, it's already automatically set. So here's the counter to that. Okay, Dan, set the max you're willing to pay. So if that's your strategy, I'm just going to bid you right up. That's what shilling is. Set your max you're willing to pay. Cool. Then let's shill every single auction because now as soon as I know you're going to do that, I'm just going to hit minimum increments until I hit your number or get close to it. I have paid way less than some of these. Sniping, ironically, cuts down on shill bidding. It doesn't prevent it. You still can, but it's hard to shill bid when you don't know the other bids out there. And by the way, somebody can manually snipe too. It's a little more work, but they can manually do it. They can push the button. eBay has a button for them. In the last couple of seconds, they can press a button just to do it automatically. It's the same idea. But in this case, you preset it. And you're still offering whatever the max is going to be to pay, but you're not allowing somebody else to then start chipping away at that number to try to get closer to whatever your max is. Because that allows them to game the system a little bit. Just make your bid and then be done with it. It's a one-shot deal. So real quick. Private sales come to conversation. How do you confirm them? Well, the Hoj thinks he can confirm them. We've already proven that has a little murkiness sometimes. So that's what we're going to touch on. Josh said eBay and auction houses are a completely different clientele, which I agree with. That's very true. What about the hobby appetite for the 731 harassments and scribe cart? That's valid.
You're pissing. I'm going to get you. I've had it with him.
I don't know. I don't overhear these types of conversations around my breaking cabana. Intriguing. Truth. But yes. So anyway, kind of to Dan's point, I get his idea, but I'll be honest, I would much rather I will rather use sniping software 100 times out of 100 because I'm not going to be sitting there staring at it. The idea of making a back bid, no, that's ridiculous. That's dumb because it's a waste of my money. And one important thing that factors in, now I'm going to circle back around to Eric's point about the manual auctions. I want to come back to it. So one more thing I'm going to read and then I'll get to it. Eric and Bobbles debate reminds me of that Emmanuel Through the Time movie with the vampires. See? All the references. I was pulling for the vampires at points, but I'm loyal to Manuel. Valid and fair points. Valid and fair points. All right. So circling back around.
Just real quick, I just want to say we're talking about comps and how to get real comps. I'm not talking about the different clientele or buying $1 million Babe Ruth baseballs and rich people versus regular people. I'm talking about what is a true, accurate, competitive comp for an item. And that is the only thing. We're talking about maths, which
all right, but I'm about to get to maths. I'm about to get to it. That's why I wanted to read these
comments. I just want to make sure we understood where I'm coming from. I'm not buying from Golden. I'm going to continue to buy from eBay. You all should probably do the same. The conversation was about accurate comps and how to get them. So that is my theory. Go ahead.
So I'm about to propose something absurd, Brandon. I'm about to go into dark theoretical territory. Are you ready? Here it is. That's why I said now it's getting interesting. I propose to you that a valid real comp does not exist. It is not a thing that is even possible. Let me explain why. because you're dealing with a bunch of moving targets that are all shifting around at the same time. They got to collide in just the right way. But the problem is, if you don't get them to collide again the same way, you can completely wreck your own idea, even with the comp idea. So even if we talk about, let's use Eric's scenario. Let's use the theoretical idea where we can all be in the room. We've had plenty of anticipation. We all know it's there. We know what it is. We've all had a chance to look at it. And in theory, we can all come up with our own valuation on it. Here's the problem. And this is, by the way, happens in real auctions. We run into the realm of strategery. Why do we run into the realm of strategery? Well, again, theoretically, we have a budget. So Brandon, I've got an auction, a real auction, sitting in the chairs with a paddle in my hand. All right, cool. I've got a budget of what I'm going to play with, but I've got 8 different lots that I'm interested in. Well, I can't just bid the equal amount on each one of the 8 lots. There's a priority, there's a pecking order, right? And then there's an order in which they're coming out. This is a real auction. So in theory, you could get a real comp, but not really, because yeah, I'd be interested in buying that, but I've also got this one that is lot number 7 for me that I definitely want to make sure I bid for. So, but then if I lose the first one, I got more money left over for the third one, but then I might have to hold off because I want to make sure I make my maximum bid for the 7th one. So because I'm having to play this game, I'm doing this, trying to do this. And by the way, eBay also has this as well. If a seller has a bunch of auctions that finish within 20 minutes of each other, and maybe I want to buy or at least make a play on multiple, I have to split my attention. That I gave you an example a minute ago. There were 2 cards that I've set snipes for here. I lost the first one. Because I lost the first one, and I'm making this clear, because I lost the first one, I then allocated some additional numbers to the snipe on the second one. I actually increased my snipe on the second one, Brandon. If I end up winning for above what my original was, those additional funds made the difference. If not, then so be it, whatever. But the point is, because I lost the first one, I didn't get it, but there was enough of a time gap in between. I shifted the numbers around because I was willing to do that. I wanted to pay X for the 2 cards because I lost for the first one. I was okay with shifting some of that towards the second one because I still want to try to win it. If I don't, so be it, fine. But I was able to make a stronger offer on the second one because I lost the first one, if you get my point.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. That happens all the time because we're shifting our numbers around.
When I bought this, the seller had 3 others that were ending at the same time. He had a red and 2 oranges, and I would have loved to have grabbed the red and the orange, but I had to focus on this one because they were literally ending seconds apart.
Yeah.
And I didn't want this one to go because I knew this one like never pops up. So I just focused on winning that auction. And so I might have bid on the red or the orange, but I couldn't because the way he had his auction set up.
Yeah. So that goes back to what I was saying with Dan's comment here. So the reason why I was making this point that I just made is in this theoretical, maybe I should have bid the max that I was willing to pay on both of them right now ahead of time and given other people a chance to bid me all the way up near. What if I bid the maximum I was willing to pay on both of these cards, Brandon, and people bid me up, but they don't pass me? So now I've got 2 cards where I've been pushed right up to my max. So I had my budget, my idea to pay X for these 2 cards. And in reality, I had to pay way over that because I offered my max for both cards at the same time and then let other people bid me right up to it. And they're like, yeah, I'm not going that high. So great. I get to pay 98% of my max on one and 97% of my max on the other. And I end up paying almost double what I actually wanted to pay for the 2 cards originally. Which is possible in this scenario, it's plausible in this game, in this way. Or because there was a time gap there, I set a snipe. I narrowly lost the first one. So be it. I was able to put a little more in the second one. But if they passed me on this one, well, then in my opinion, they overpaid. But I could have put more than this max on the second card just to be on the safe side, and then also put a max on the first one to be on the safe side, and then maybe I win both, but I end up paying even more.
I want to counter Eric's auction house relatively. The
See, Eric was all excited. He was going to get a paddle and
auction house
everything. He was going to have a paddling.
I think the true comps, Eric, are Beckett Magazine.
Wow.
Oh, shit. He went
back in the old school days when they would send representatives out to the card shows.
Yeah, the representatives.
And have foot to pavement and see what dealers were pricing and what buyers were buying at and reporting back on notebook pads and pen and paper and coming up with the averages. And yeah, it might be a little bit different regionally, but when we got that publication, that was our Bible. And those were the true comps.
Yes, I liked it very much back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the bottom line, the point though is that there is an element of, if you do have multiple things that are potentially of interest to you at the same time, it makes it very difficult because you're actually having to play this weird, again, in a physical auction setting, you're having to make because again, these people are sitting there with the catalogs, right? They're going through and saying, I'm interested in lot number 47, lot number 86, lot number 114, and blah, 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 etc., all the way down the line. Well, most people can't win. Let's say they're interested in 7 different lots. Most people, Brandon, are not going to win all 7 lots. So what they're doing is they're trying to figure out how to get as many of them as they can.
Live auctions, and I'm not just speaking specifically on sports cards, but if you have never been to a live auction, it is stressful as hell because you're trying to read the room, you're trying to win your item, you're trying to see who you're bidding against, and sometimes the person you're bidding against is a phone-in bid that someone with the auction company has on a piece of paper. You don't even know that the person's not even there, and they just keep running you up.
And what about what name's saying here? What about names saying here? What about people pay who are not aware of the historical sales, pay more than the typical? So the person you're competing with doesn't actually understand what it, quote unquote, should go for. They're willing to overpay. So in order to beat them, are you willing to overpay the overpayment? Because then, or other one, what if the other person's just a dick? Mm-hmm. What if the person on the other side is Eric? And you know what? I'm outbidding this asshole.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
And that happens too.
Yeah, and then you were actually overpaying, like you had no business ever offering that amount. You would have never done that under normal circumstances, and then you wind up and you do it. So it happens. So Dan said, just bid on an obscure pre-war baseball with no other bidders, and you will every time. Eric, you've got your new strategy. Forget the Lemons.
Also,
forget the Bruins.
Eric,
obscure pre-war baseball. Make it happen. Book it.
If comps at auction houses are the more realistic bids, then why in the hell did we have a full case of O-Pee-Chee hockey that was bid on and not paid for? If that was the real comp, why didn't it repeat?
I don't think that's a good example. You had someone who backed out and didn't pay for their shit. So the comp doesn't exist until the payment's in. So it was never comped because it was never paid for.
But it was bid to.
Guys, bids don't count. Payment counts. How much did someone pay? He never paid it. Therefore, it never existed. So I think that
existed because we had a damn conversation about it, whether or not it was too much. So it existed.
No, the bid existed, and we argued the bid. We never argued the price paid because it didn't exist.
Yeah. So what I was going to say here, so bad bidders you can't control, which is fair enough. I agree. So like my point though, just kind of touching on Dan's comment about it, is that the irony here is that a snipe bid is not different than a normal bid, except that we're using electronic means. If people are concerned about electronic means, I'm going to cite to you what I said a moment ago about eBay itself having a button that you can press quickly to be able to put in a last second bid if that's what you want. It actually doesn't matter when the bid is placed. The only reason why somebody would complain about it is they say, oh, well, I'm not getting a chance to then make another bid. So then why didn't you bid your max the first time either?
Yeah, if eBay had any distaste to the snipes, they would just incorporate extended bidding.
They would do extended bidding, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
they would
but
just do
Brandon,
bidding.
the only point that I'm making though is that extended bidding would be the solution to that, because then you just keep bidding until somebody gives up. That is the thing you can do. But then the other side of it though is that if a snipe bid outbid you though, like I'm just being serious. I'm actually being serious for a second. If a snipe bid outbid you, then why didn't you bid your max? Because if the snipe bid outbid you, they were willing to go higher on the snipe bid, then you were willing to go with your presumed max. But if you're saying I would have paid even more, then why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
You should just.
That's when you get people, and I don't want to cause any issues by saying this, but that's when you get people overpaying because they were right there on the cusp. They had put in what they wanted to pay for it, but then they were so close to losing it, they went ahead and bid more. And then in the end, they ended up paying more than they actually wanted to. And that's where you see that climbing of numbers because
Yeah.
they just couldn't let it go.
Yeah. So as Dan is saying, that's why they have extended bidding in auctions, which, by the way, I participate in the Fanatics / PWCC auctions where they've got extended bidding. I'll be honest, I don't like it. I understand it. Like from the seller's perspective, it's great because then you can enter the pissing contest side of it. All right, so you made a bid. So the new window starts in 30 minutes. Then the next window starts in, I think, 30 minutes again. Then I think it's 5 minutes after that, and then becomes 1 minute, and etc. You can just keep bouncing back and forth. I don't like it because then you just keep sitting there. It's basically becomes attrition because then it doesn't matter what you bid. If somebody is able to then outbid you, you can just keep it going and going and going and going just indefinitely. It's kind of annoying. It's like, guys, just finish, pick a number. That's your number. If that's your high, that's your high. And then the timer ends and we're done. But you can do it. Like I've won auctions that way too. I've won plenty of auctions of eBay, but I've won auctions on extended bidding and PWCC. But it is a little bit of a nuisance to just have to sit there and go like, all right, is it done yet? Oh, I got extended. Oh, great. Is it done now? I'm not sure. Like it gets to be a bit of a nuisance, especially the longer it goes. It gets a bit annoying. But again, that's more of a personal preference thing. For me, as long as you've placed your max bid and you've done it, great. Yeah. It's attrition with the auction bids extending to 2 a.m. Yeah. Now, again, I'm a night owl. So that might actually be to my advantage if that's the kind of, again, if you want to keep doing that. I just don't think it's very practical. I'm not a big fan. I like, end it already. Like, get her done. Midnight cutoff works fine. That's fair. But listen, it does, Dan. It gives you guys a chance to do an auction watch along. It's more exciting.
Oh, boy.
Oh, listen. The old auction watch along. Eric is a big fan of the old auction watch along.
I like them. It's a nice way to kill some time and see some stuff that you may not have seen. And and that kind of goes back to the advertising that I was talking about earlier. I think that if you actually advertise it, that comp is more realistic than if it's not advertised, because maybe, only 1 or 2 people find it and bid against each other instead of having a couple of hundred. So I'm all for the advertising.
Now, can I ask a question?
Sure,
kind of
why not?
separate, but not exactly related to, and this is something else that kind of plays into it. By the way, Dan, just out of curiosity, I know you're in the chat hanging out, but if you're interested, you can come on and kind of join in the conversation because obviously we're having an auction conversation right now. Can I ask a serious question though, Brandon? I think this would be interesting to bring up to the chat and to you and to Eric as well. Eric, of course, is the payer of the like button, so he has unlimited funds at his disposal.
Oh, unlimited of the funds. Yep. Sure.
Well, the Saudis usually
before your question though,
go ahead.
I want to make one point. Eric, just about an hour or so ago, talked about how he had so much work as a handyman by word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And now, an hour later, is a big fan of advertising. So, had too much work without advertising. Big fan of advertising. Just want to point that out.
He is a man of contradictions and a man of lies. But here's my question. One of the things that it's not brand new because it's been around before, but it is taken a bit of a renaissance. And speaking of auctions, specifically auctions, one of the things that has become very interesting, I'll talk about it from the 90s guys, but it could in theory be used for other things as well, is the various services to allow you to finance your purchases with auctions. So it's consigners who take consignments as your payment for auctions. So it's like, what's freaking floating head stupid thing? It's like, buy my card, ship my card. It's not ship my cards. It's, one of his 87,000 sponsored shows is a guy who basically fund my cards. That's the one. Fund my cards. So the concept is they will buy or basically loan the money in effect is what they're doing. They basically will buy the item or offer up to the amount that you agree to. You basically draw up a contract with them and the collateral is your consignment with them because then you will ship them off cards. So in effect, what you've done, Brandon, is you've taken cards in your collection or whatever, and you've actually taken this and you've basically pushed up the amount that you can bid on these things. There's a reason I'm asking this question. Remember, we're talking about comps a second ago? This is a factor too, because in effect, what you've done, this is a fancy, overcomplicated version of buying on layaway, of buying on a credit card. So you had $100 in your pocket, but now you can bid 1,000 because you've got enough Reggie Lemons, in theory, to sell off that could pay for the difference. So all of a sudden you can buy Hal F and Gil. You're playing the big time. So you can, but what you've done in this essence, Brandon, though, is you've skewed the comps because you didn't have the $1,000. You could not have done it on your own, and you were able to play this game. See, that's what I'm saying. Lose sight. That's important. But Brandon, though, are you getting my point though? Because by using one of these services, you're able to make a bid.
Point is that rule number 1 should never be more relevant than the statement that people take loans like this or do these types of things so they can buy a sports card.
I agree. But what I'm getting at here, though, is, but Brandon, the point, though, is that by doing that, they were able to make bids they could not have otherwise made.
Right.
Or let's take it as best case. Let's do a best case scenario, though. Let's say you're a person who actually has $1 million sports card portfolio, so to speak. You're just not sitting on cash. But you have plenty of cards that have value that would sell for plenty. But you're sitting, oh man, I saw that thing. I really want it. But I don't have some cash sitting around. You go to a buddy and go, hey, can you make this bid on it for me? I'll send you a bunch of stuff. You sell it and I get the difference and blah, blah, blah. You have the money. The point is you have the money, but you have the money in equity. You have the money in physical cards. So you're able to use the card. But you're still making a bid that you would not have been able to make today. You could have made it if you had sold the cards, but it's going to take you time. So you made it today with the collateral you already had.
This feels too much just honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, like listening to this whole thing and trying to process it through, I get the angle you're going with, and saying that you ended up paying more even though you had the money, but you didn't have the money. You had it in cardboard cash.
You had the assets that could have been converted into money, but not fast enough to have cash.
You had cardboard cash. You didn't have the bank account funds to actually purchase the item.
Correct.
Right. So,
but as a result, you were able to make a bid that was higher.
Right.
So you were not even going to be a player in this game had it not been for that. But now suddenly you're able to add a bid that wasn't involved.
First of all, it sounds complicated because how do you know what your consignment stuff's going to bring? And I guess that's the risk of the company forwarding the money.
That's part of the contract.
And that's a messy bowl of spaghetti there. But this also, honestly, there's too much market manipulation that goes into it. When you're skirting into those waters, there's too much of it that becomes manipulated. And I think in many cases, these instances are happening because they want to push the value of said card up because
Brandon, the reason I'm bringing it up is it's out in the open. That wasn't me doing a hypothetical. It's happening right now as we speak.
Right. But I think a lot of people are either blind or, and I don't want to say blind, they just don't pay attention to that kind of stuff or believe that any of that's happening. But think of it this way, and I'm just going to use a common name, but a Jordan comes up and you have a bidder there that has vested interest in other Jordans, and they don't feel that the price that card is getting to is significant enough. So then they take virtual funds or cardboard cash to push that card up, because whether or not it was going to end at the price it winds up ending at, getting it to the higher level then drags the other items that they possess. It actually can increase those values because it's all in that bubble.
So Brandon, the reason why I brought this up. Yeah, the reason why I brought this up is that this plays into the real comp conversation.
Wait, can we literally give them the shit that's on the screen example there? Because I'm rich.
dude. Yeah, of course. So Brandon, look, so hang with me for a second. All right, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
The reason I brought it up is because this is a thing that is occurring right now. But the thing is, the more these types of things get used, the more of
people
these
going to
sales and comps are being fueled by this, which means you're getting prices. You did not have the cash to do that. But watch right here. I'm looking at the website. I'm sharing it with you guys right now on the screen. It says level up your collection, helping collectors and streamlining their collection to attain their ultimate grail, the consolidation piece. Okay. Let me click on how it works. I'll really show you. I just want to show you. You sign up, share your grail card, tell us about a particular card you desire and your budget. Could be any card located privately or running an auction. By the way, it can be private sales, can be used for this as well. Just bear that in mind. We'll buy your chosen card using their funds, sparing you the immediate expense and securing the card swiftly. A contract will be drafted detailing price and terms. To offset the card's cost, you'll provide us with your cards that you're ready to sell. So then they sell the cards, they add in a 10% service charge, sell it, and presumably if you send enough, that covers it. If you've overdone it, then they pay you the difference. If it's underneath, you pay the extra. But what you've done is, Brandon, even if you had the cards that could have covered it, could not have sold them fast enough to make that bid in that auction. But you use this. These guys made the bid for you. So a benefactor was able to make a bid that you could make. And as a result, the price was higher than if you hadn't even been involved in the game.
And they have an interest because they're getting a premium on top. And so who knows if they have somebody that's bidding it up to make the max value even higher, so they get an even higher percentage, get more of your item. Like, nah, if I can't afford it, I ain't buying it. Screw that.
Well, there are
not a
people.
game I'm playing in.
That's all I'm getting at. But that is a factor. That is a factor that plays into it. That's what makes it amusing to me. That's the reason why I brought it up. I thought it would be funny to bring that into the that whole game.
I was actually thinking about this the other day when you see like some of these sales and how many 5-6 figure ultra modern cards are being paid for, and all of like you go on Facebook and it was post after post of just tables of wax and stuff people had bought for Christmas and everything else. And I'm just thinking, how much debt is this hobby in right now? Like, seriously, what is the future ramifications of where we are today? You know, we've talked about the gambling and all this other stuff, you know, with breaks and box openings and all this, but seriously, how much debt is this hobby in? That's the scary part.
So that's the reason why I thought it was worthwhile bringing it up, because it's just kind of fun for me. I've got a few cards funded by FYC. It's a pretty easy process. I have no doubt. But like I was saying, it does create a scenario where you've put some money into the system that wasn't ready yet. Like, it's one of those things where if I was to sell these cards, I could get the money to buy X card. But if there's an expediency, it's an auction that's ending now, you're basically paying the premium to expedite and make that available. So here it is right now. I'm just pointing it out here. Here's an entire playlist of the stories behind the grails, the Fund Your Card Show by good old Floating Head himself. Here they are. Well, he's promoting the service because, again, he's sponsored as part of this, which is fine. The sponsors have disclosed. I'm not sharing anything that's out of turn. It's right here. It's smacking your face. But that does inflate some of those sales because you've got buyers in there that are not real buyers.
Here's the other question of this, and this is a serious question. Eric, I want your opinion on this as well. We've had this discussion, and Dan's been, you know, thank you, Dan, for being active in the chat tonight. And obviously you collect vintage baseball and stuff. We've had this discussion where most, I'm phrasing most, vintage cards, the biggest obstacle of obtaining them, and when people coin them as a grail or whatever, is the amount of money that they cost. Eric's obviously was the Boubior. You know, he said he would never buy one because of the price of it and everything else. They're saying that they'll fund your grail. doesn't that take the whole point of a card being the grail away? If now that obstacle, that goal of being able to obtain said grail, of having the financial means to do so, is just a click away at the end of your fingertips, to have someone else buy it from you for you, and then you do whatever the hell you're doing to give them cards to pay it back. I mean, I, I guess I'm just
So Brandon, let me answer your question. Let me throw some stuff. And Eric, I'd like to get your take on this as well, just for fun. So again, Dan, like I wasn't kidding before. If you want to come on and chime in on this, you're welcome to it. But again, you just have to let me know. You got my email, so you can always shoot me a message. But here's the thing. So Hobby Champs is saying that he's used this. Fair enough. Here's the thing. I'm not as judgmental on this. My angle on this was not to be judgmental. I want to make this clear. My point is that this is a factor in some of these auctions and purchases. So when I'm going through and looking at the comps, I have to bear in mind that some of the buyers are then able to use this service. So best case scenario, let's play the best case scenario out right here. I'll read it. All the FYC stuff I funded were buy it nows that I couldn't afford but really wanted. Then I went and got cards for my collection that I don't want until we're square, which by the way, you could do. This is a consolidate. They're pitching it as a consolidation thing because you have to have some cards with some value in theory to make this worth your time, if that's what you want. But important thing, even if you do this, and again, 10%, given that they've literally fronted the money for you, you didn't have it at that second, and they fronted the money for you, them asking for a fee for the service is not unreasonable. Like they're a business, like they're literally fronting cash for you. And then you're the one who has to provide them the cards, which they then have to sell and make enough money to make their money back. So I have no issue with the general concept. My only point is that by doing that, you're adding additional buyers to the pool that would not have been available otherwise, which in turn purchase the cards and potentially raise the floor on some of these cards. Because now it's oversimplification, but just so we understand each other. The thing that made housing costs go up more than anything else was mortgages. If I told you the only way you can have a house is you got to pay for it in cash, almost no one owns a house.
No.
Now, on the other hand, housing prices would be lower because nobody can buy a house. So you can't charge. But as soon as I can get cheap credit, when interest rates are low, you don't have to have as much money. So you can borrow more money in turn for 10% of the down payment, 5% of the down payment, in some cases less. You can get a house. So all of a sudden, everybody can bid on a house. As a result, suddenly the house is $1 million, $1.5 million. I have houses in my neighborhood. This area has become gentrified over years. My condo, Brandon, has more than doubled in price in the 10 years that I've owned it. I didn't do anything.
that.
I didn't do anything. All I did was I bought it 10 years ago. That's all I did. Well, my net worth went up for no other reason than the place is worth more than when I bought it for, because all that happened was everything got more expensive around it. Yep. And the houses down the street that you could have bought for $400,000 10 years ago are now $1.2 million, $1.3 million, $1.4 million.
Yep.
They didn't do anything.
Even though they've gotten older. Even though they didn't
do anything. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. But it's in a good spot. It's right beside a plaza. It's got a supermarket. It's got the hardware store. It's got the beer store. It's got all that stuff right beside. It is conveniently located beside a transit station. Great. And the point is the mortgage allowed more money to be available. So therefore the housing prices went up. Well, guys, all we did was take an element of that. These prices are going up not because of cash coming out of people's pockets, but because they can consolidate. They can take cards they have and convert them into cash on their own timetable based on the contract. So they don't have to have the cash right this second today. They can be like, hey, buy it for me. I'll send you this box of cards, sell it for me, take your 10%, and there you go. I just bought this card.
Right. Yeah. And again, like, I don't want to be demeaning to anybody, and hopefully, Javi, you got some stuff that you're really excited about, and you know that they're permanent pieces.
Yeah, no worries, Dan. All good.
It's just not something I could see myself doing. Like, part of that excitement of attaining something is, you know, obviously the hunt, finding it, and then of course the final factor, affording it. And even if it's only 10%, we were just talking earlier how, you have the fees involved and everything else on the selling side of things. I think every time there's fees added onto something, our cards become less and less and less valuable. We're getting less and less and less piece of that pie. And so again, this conversation has been going on for a while now, and we were talking about, finding cards at the better price. Like you reached out to somebody trying to get a card at a price you were comfortable with, which was $50 less than he was wanting.
Mhm.
I don't want to pay more just to be able to get something by having somebody else fund it for me. Like, I don't want this to become, I don't want it to become like stressful or feel overwhelming. Like I have to, you know, get a mortgage, just as an example, or finance something to buy a card. I want it to be a hobby. I want it to be enjoyable and, not worry about that, let alone paying an extra 10% to be able to obtain. There's no card out there, even the Michael Taylor. If the Michael Taylor Superfractor Auto came up, even if that was to appear, that is a card that I have wanted for years. It is a card I have never seen. It is the grail of grails for me. It is the
Ooh,
card
Grail
that I have
Grails.
on my list that
Bold.
I want. Okay. If that was to come up and I did not have the available funds to purchase it, I still would not have any interest in going that route, because if I couldn't afford it, it was priced way above what I was willing to pay to begin with. So I'm not going to put my family in debt or anything like that, owe anybody like, anything to obtain a card. I
That's a noble.
want it
That's a
to be
noble
fun.
sentiment, Brandon. But I am fully prepared to put Eric's family in debt as far as it takes. I am willing to take all that like button money and double it, double those fees. I think Eric can live out of a cardboard box just fine, Brandon, and I will not allow your selfishness to take that away from me. I will not allow it.
Huh.
You hear me? Not allow it. In this year of our Lord, 2025, God damn it, if I have to put Eric into the poorhouse, then God damn it, that's what I'm going to do.
And my family. You did say and my family.
Well, let's be fair. Let's be fair about this. Let's be honest. They've probably already siphoned off the funds. At this point, there's probably nothing left for you. They'll basically ditch you and disown you and pretend you didn't exist in the first place. I'm not saying I already have the plan. I'm saying I might have gotten an email ahead of time.
Yeah, well, okay, that makes more sense. I see that now.
I'm just saying. By your family, I probably just mean your lemons in the background at this point. Truthfully. Yeah. Just to be, Brandon, just to be fair. Just to be fair about this.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Just saying. Just saying. It's fine. Bubbles is saying, Carlos, please sell your home. We need your lot to build the cards excuse. Listen, for enough zeros on that check, I will sell this shit right now. It's not even a question. Done. Happy chances. I don't care. I just want to consolidate. And that's what I said. I wanted to make clear. I am not judging. I am not judging. Whatever you need to do. I have enough PC to keep me busy forever. Everything else is just equity. So consolidation makes sense to me. Perfectly fine. But I just wanted to point out it is a factor because some of those bidders may be using similar services, which in turn allows them to make more aggressive bids or purchases than would otherwise be, because they'd be like, yeah, I could, but then I got to sell this and then get the money and then ship off the thing. And then in the time that this is all happening, then the item might have sold for less. So that's why I'm just making a point.
And I go through that sometimes, like, I want to buy this. I don't want to spend that much on it. And then I talk myself into, okay, well, I have this stuff over here that I could sell, so I could go ahead and buy this, sell this. And then it's the method of thinking of trading rather than spending money. So I get that part of it. I just don't get paying the extra 10% for someone to fund it up front, rather than like, we were live when the non-auto Taylor, and I'm going to go back to that, came up, and Bobby was like, well, Bobbles, why don't you see what number you can get the guy to work out on? I'm sure you got stuff that you'd be willing to sell to cover the cost of it. Why don't you get the card? You want the card. And he was right. He was 100% right. And that's kind of like how I always think it through. Look at it more as a trade than a purchase. So I get that side of it. I don't know. I just don't think I would have someone else, I guess, pay up front and then me feel like I'm indebted to them. I would rather buy it out of my own funds and then replace my funds, if that makes any sense. Pay myself back. Use my money and pay myself back.
Mm-hmm. Fair. And I just realized, so I won one of my 2 snipes, won the second item, and then accidentally shifted my Canadian address, so I'll be paying extra. So Eric's like button fee just went up. Just letting you all know. I may have I misclicked, Brandon.
I'm surprised
it was a mistake on my part.
I'm surprised you don't send your crap to my house too. Like
Maybe I should. Maybe I should. That would save me some goddamn money. Maybe that's what I need to do. Like, Jesus. I'm gonna get charged to the wazoo for customs, by the way.
I gotta go to the post office tomorrow and get rid of Arnold Schwarzenegger here.
There you go. Bubbles says, I will put my family in debt because he's trained the kids to work hard. A noble goal. I appreciate that. I didn't know Eric had hair. I don't think Eric knew either.
I got lots of it, unfortunately.
He I think it's basically referencing that usually you wear a hat.
I do usually wear a hat, yeah.
Bill Savers, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Joe Montana, Juan Soto, Dries Idle, Ghoul Cards of Great. So, Hobby Champs, which one of these categories did you utilize the consolidation thing for? Just out of curiosity. If you want to share. If you don't, all good. Just curious. Dries Idle is definitely great. Sounds like an awesome collection. Yep, it's definitely not for everyone. I have tens of thousands of dollars in non-PC stuff I simply don't care that much about. So that's fine. That's what I said. I go back to what I said earlier. Not judgment. But I am pointing out that it is a factor because those services are also bidders too. So if it's a buy it now, fair enough. But then that purchase was funded by one of these things. If it's a bidder who bids on a thing, that was a purchase that was funded with one of these things. If it's a private sale, it's still the same point. The point is that each one of these services that gets used, the next thing that happens with it is that if it is listed in one of the comps, then that becomes one of the comps. Whereas I may have been in a situation where, oh, I just bought this and this and this. So Brandon, just going back to the comps point from we talked about earlier. If I buy a bunch of cards and I get on a run and I find a bunch of cool cards and then suddenly another cool card shows up, I might not be able to bid on it because, well, I already bought this one and I paid for this and I just paid for this and I can't stretch the hobby dollars far enough to make that work. So I might have to be out on this one.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, it might have gone higher had I been able to participate as a bidder, but because I already bought other stuff, now I can't. That is a factor. The same way that this consolidation thing is also a factor. That's all part of it. So you have to take all that into account. It's like, yeah, that changes the numbers. So when you're looking at these final numbers, how we got there is relevant too. That's part of the equation. It's not just, this money didn't just magically appear. It came from Eric's money tree probably, but outside of that, I don't know where it came from. I appreciate the Billy Joel comp. Canceling Eric's seat on the flight to Turkey. Who wants a hair transplant? There you go.
Brad Marchand.
I assume there's a reference here. I don't know what it is.
I 0 point energy. I have no idea. He's out of his mind. Don't listen to him. Block him.
Maybe you coat it on chocolate sticks.
No, just get rid of him. We don't need him.
But those are some good topics, Brandon. I like that. I think it branched off into a couple of interesting things because, by the way, all that stuff is part of the equation. Every time we're buying shit on eBay, like, by the way, some of the bidders you may be competing against are some of these funding services. If you're going after some of these items, especially some of these higher number items that are getting for these record prices, how many of them are being funded by funding services that can consolidate all these? It's like having a hedge fund that can throw some money at stuff, but they're only doing it with strategery, but only at certain times when they want to be deployed.
When you get into some of the bigger numbers, you have to wonder, like, yeah, sure, there's whales out there that got, unlimited pockets, but you have to wonder sometimes if that stuff isn't, where did the funds come from?
I happen to know that the entire Reggie Lemon market is being funded by one, basically Saudi prince. And by that, I mean a Massachusetts peasant.
Yeah.
Just one is propping up the entire Lemon market.
My newest.
My point is being made. My point is being made as we speak. Y'all getting it? My point is being made. 2024, we ended the year on truths, Brandon. 2025, we're starting the year on truths. It says right here, some bigger Josh Allen rookies, some bigger greats cards. Look at it like trading, not funding. I'm simply trading the stuff I no longer care about for things I do care about at a 10% fee. Perfectly fine. All good. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not judging anybody either. So whatever,
yeah, like
however you want to run your hobby, run your life, and I just worry, not so much worry because again, you're an adult, make your choice. I just hate the idea of knowing, and Brandon touched on this, that especially during the pandemic, we saw it horribly saw it. People just putting themselves in bad situations, and I just
would
hope
you dare say in a jam?
Oh, and definitely in a big jam. Yeah.
The man obsesses about fucking jam. Good Lord. Like
I
actually think he was
condiment stuff in jars. He's all over jam.
I actually think my opinion, my theory is that he's not talking about a financial jam. He's just talking about, basically pouring jam on himself. It's just while watching Emmanuel in space.
Nope.
Hanging out with his roosters. It's all good.
I don't have any roosters.
I don't think you have any roosters either. That isn't what I'm talking about. Euphemisms, innuendo. Somewhere out there, Morel is like innuendo. Just say it. So it says in 2025, what would be one product you would be looking forward to? You know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the third fucking AEW release of 2024 that won't be coming out until 2025. That's what I'm looking forward to. Mind you, that's a very specific edge case, so don't mind me.
I'm not looking forward to anything. I collect vintage cards. I don't care.
Boston Centennial, you stupid bastard. Boston
It's already
Centennial.
out. It's already out.
Yes, but you won't get it until 2025.
I don't know when I'll get it. But I have
unless you get it tomorrow, you're not getting it until 2025.
Darcy Rota card. Yeah, that's nice. Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful, Darcy Rota.
By the way, if you pay attention, 2025 says what one product would you be looking forward to. He didn't say new product, Eric. You could say 68, 69 O-Pee-Chee again.
Mm-hmm. Better yet, why don't I say 66, 67 O-Pee-Chee? Because, that's a thing.
Listen, if Richard Scott says so, it's a thing. Silence,
tomorrow,
peasant.
I'm going off tomorrow.
If there was anything product-wise, I've been seeing
Jason Robertson.
I've been seeing some non-sport products that are coming out. That's pretty cool.
Looney Tunes?
No, fuck that. I would buy it, but I'm
not
paying that price. Whoa. I am not paying that price. No, Upper Deck. No, not for some cartoon characters.
Dang.
No,
okay, jeez.
Neo shared that. What was it? Cheers cards. I'm not too into that one, but I seen. This shows how nerdy I get sometimes.
Like from the TV
I seen
show.
the Christmas story boxes, and those looked really cool. Now I don't know how much they cost. But it looks like there's some really cool non-sport stuff that's getting produced. Cryptozoic has been making some more stuff. So I don't have one in particular, but I would like to see what 2025 brings for some of the non-sport stuff. So,
see, it's bold. If I was going to go beyond that, so product looking forward to, I am actually serious because theoretically, the next AEW product is supposed to be Allure, and I actually think Allure was my favorite one. It's a valid point.
Zach, you don't understand. I seen the product when they were talking about it way before
really it was angry about it though. Like you went straight to full anger, like Bobbles anger on that.
I am angry because it's freaking Looney Tunes. Who in the hell needs to pay that much for a box of Looney Tunes? Like, come on, I get it. Okay, if you want to use the excuse that autographs are expensive or memorabilia is expensive, it's freaking Looney Tunes. There's no autos. There's no memorabilia. There's no
Oh,
None
you
of that
want
shit in
Elmer,
there.
yeah, you want the Elmer Fudd rookie patch auto.
That would actually be pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be
It
a real.
would.
It wouldn't be based on nothing since it's a cartoon,
PMG, a
but it'd be pretty
jambalaya,
sweet.
something like that. They would be cool. But I'm not paying that much for freaking Looney Tunes. No. No. Nope. Not
He
happening.
really went off the deep end. The Looney Tunes was too much, Eric. The Looney Tunes was a bridge too far, so it would seem. Yeah, he started bobbling his bobble.
I
Like
thought I saw Putty Tat is
like
not
whoa,
at his
dang.
house.
Dang.
There's
Like,
no Putty Tats. No Putty Tats at Brandon's house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jesus, Bobbles with Bugs Bunny hasn't been this cool.
$250 a box. Who in the hell wants to pay $250 for Looney Tunes?
That's only
No.
Brandon. In fairness, that is only like $15 more than the Boston Bruins Centennial.
12 packs per box, 6 cards per pack, $250. You can shove that shit up your keister.
Dang.
I'll say, boy. I say, shove that up your keister, boy.
This is
a little foghorn.
Brandon, it's too late for me to do an end of year recap. I can't even technically this would count, but addendum.
They have platinum portraits in it too. That sucks because I really like those as well.
Shove it, boy.
I can't wait for 2025. The couple Looney Tunes. Yes. That'd be amazing. Exquisite Looney Tunes. Let's go. Looney Tunes spectators versus Looney Tunes investors, like a Civil War movie. Facts.
Oh, wait, my bad. My apologies, Upper Deck. They have autographs in them of the voice actors. The voice actors autos. Those probably cost a pretty penny.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
If they're cuts from the original voice actors, then yeah, like Mel
They're
Blanc.
stickers. They're sticker autos.
Mel Blanc did not do sticker autos. You'd have to get cut autos. I would pay a decent sum for a Mel Blanc cut auto card. That would be pretty cool.
I was actually excited. I thought it would be a fun product, and then I seen the price, and nope, I reverted right back to being a cheap bastard, and why I stopped opening products.
I bet if you sold a couple of your Jason Robertsons to fund your cards, you could probably get a case.
I couldn't fund it. Hell no. He's got 8, 9 goals on the season. His shit's in the tank too. I couldn't even pump him high enough. I would need 20% bonus onto it.
So you say your pump is broken. Wait,
to be
so
able
Brandon,
to
you're saying you need fund your cards to get your new pump because your pump's broken.
With a 20% bonus though on the sale.
Yeah, you need all of it. Yeah.
All I have to say, fucker and fuckatash.
So, by the way, I like this comment, but I'm gonna make an addendum to this. It's Hobby Champs is saying generally, if you use the word woke unironically, I make fun of you. But I like this comment, so I want to read it. The woke teens are canceling Eric right now. First of all, Eric is used to being canceled, and secondly, the Foghorn Leghorn is being offensive. No, I would cancel Eric for a multitude of reasons. The impression had nothing to do with being offensive. I'm offended by Eric. So the teens, the preteens, the post-teens, the Uber teens, the libertines, everybody's canceling Eric. Yeah, everybody's canceling Eric. All of them. All of them, man. Gen Z, millennial, post-millennial, Alpha Romero.
Old as shit.
All the generations. Everybody cancels Eric.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, just saying everybody.
I want to be canceled.
We're trying. The Foghorn Leghorn impression was classic. Ben World Peace appreciated you. John Hancock rolling over his grave with the Looney Tunes autographs. I know. Zach is appreciating your shirt, Brandon. Game Boy, OG.
That's
classic.
part of the nerd stuff back there. I do have an original Game Boy, a Game Boy Color, a Game Gear. I have all that on one of the shelves back there. So yeah, it's part of the little nerd stuff.
You don't have anything better to do than to troll me.
Literally no.
47 kids, right? It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, wherever the hell you live. Don't you have a job? Go do something.
I understand. Hobby Champs. It worked either way. We're good. We are good. No judgment. And it let me angle completely new. Like I think I named off about 12 generations there. That was pretty good. Like it worked out really nice. Like it worked out great, guys. This
I
is
didn't even know
amazing.
we had that many, but yeah, that was good.
Some console generation beta. Yes, I think that's supposed to be the next generation. I like to think of Eric as generation beta.
No,
Eric, you were around during Betamax. Don't lie to people.
I was around during Betamax. That is true.
You're old. You're fucking old, man.
Yeah,
You were around during Betamax.
Carlos,
I watched movies on Betamax. That's true.
we were around during Betamax.
I know, but I want to
Yeah,
pretend
you
Eric's
weren't old
older
enough
than us.
to put it in the
Silence,
machine.
Brandon. Don't ruin this for me.
I have 2 of them at CGC waiting to get freaking graded 'cause
Brandon, my parents have a Betamax in their house right now.
I have one too. That I have.
Yeah.
That I have.
Yeah, but my dad had one
I'm like,
since the
yeah,
Betamax
cool.
days. Like that is the OG
Dude,
Betamax.
By the way,
It's a real
if
deal.
y'all don't know what a Betamax is, if you ever get the opportunity, pick one of them bitches up because they are heavy.
They are. That's true. That's true.
Now we know why the TVs were made out of solid oak.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which is ironic since the Betamax tapes were smaller.
Yeah, but the machines are freaking huge and they weigh. I bet they're pushing almost 30 pounds.
Yeah, well, because most of the was like Betamax came out in mid late 70s? Originally, like at the very start,
Yeah,
it
it's
was like mid
probably
late 70s.
somewhere in
Wasn't it?
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it was still going in the 80s, but like VHS won by like mid 80s. VHS pretty much had control of the market at that point.
I actually am old enough to have taken a tape, put it in the machine, hit play, and went and sat on the couch and watched something.
Yeah.
And was it something?
I don't know
The
if you guys
precursor to was that the prequel to A Man in Space?
No.
I actually have 2 Betamax tapes at CGC. I wasn't joking about that.
I believe it.
Waiting to be graded.
I believe it. So, folks, I want to say, so I am going to close the poll. By the way, for the record, Eric, you got a late surge of support, I must say. We got 29 votes. I'm actually very impressed by that. That's pretty strong.
But
That's pretty strong outcome of the poll.
They want me to do the show from my bicycle tomorrow night.
Oh, hell yes. I will say, though, it was closer than you would have thought. So I'm going to stop the poll right now. Stopping the poll. The final result was 65% of the popular vote said yes, Eric should fall off his bike unalive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And 34% said no. But like almost a third were trying to save you from yourself.
Yeah. People have been trying to do that for a long time, and I'm too stupid.
2/3 though said fuck you, Eric.
What time are we going on tomorrow? What time are we going on tomorrow?
I have it, so let me double check. I want to be accurate. I want to speak truth here. I want to speak truth. Right now, I have our placeholder set for the time of checking. Looks like, what did I say here? What did I schedule you for? It'd be nice if it actually showed me. I want to say 9:30.
Okay.
Check. No, sorry, 9:45. It says 9:45 p.m.
Okay.
So just before 10 p.m. because obviously going past midnight. So you don't need to start it too early. No need to do that. So I am going to start it just before 10 o'clock though.
I can do 2 hours.
Amazing.
I can ride for 2 hours. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be impressed by that at least. You know, that'd be at least impressive. So that's the thing you got going for you. So you got that going for you. Works out.
All right.
So,
Spandex tomorrow.
I just assumed you're wearing spandex underneath your shirt. You are a creepy little man.
No.
I just assumed.
No. But we'll go full spandex. And we'll go full spandex and do a 2-hour ride tomorrow. That's the goal.
There you go. So let's see here. Broke my Betamax machine. Trying to rewind too much. Dang. 13 likes this week. We got to pick up the pace, guys. So we got to do a couple more. Remember, Eric pays for the likes, folks. That was in 2024. That was in previous years. We are, in fact, going to continue that. Eric has committed to paying through 2025 all the way through the year 40,050. It's a long commitment, I got to say. I'm a little shocked that he would go that far, but okay.
Once we hit midnight tomorrow, you're never going to see me again.
I'm sure Kathy could tase you. We can make this happen. It's fine.
Once that I'm turned into a pumpkin at midnight, and you will never, ever, ever see me again.
Interesting. Brandon, I'm going to send Yannick over and we'll resolve this issue. We'll fix this issue in the new year. Don't worry about it. Do not even concern yourself. Did your Wicked loves retouching his keyboard while thinking about Eric? It happens, man. Why so many Novos? What's wrong with you people? Eric's burner accounts? I know. I get questions, man. Spandex with extra taint coverage? We don't need that, man.
It's a little.
It's going to demonetize things that were demonetized before.
Yeah. I had a long ride today. I'm a little sore, but I can do 2 hours tomorrow, I think.
Hobby Champ says we need Eric to wear a GoPro in his ride, but he needs to talk about cards the whole time because otherwise, why would we watch? I know.
Yeah, I'll try to keep a pace where I can actually talk and not be out of breath. There will
So,
be
Brandon,
a lot.
I got to be honest.
There's
Brandon,
going
I
to
gotta be
be
honest
a lot of sweat.
Quick side conversation. I got to be honest. In the new year, next year, I probably should lose a little bit of weight and, for my health and, all that good stuff and everything, right? But I'm not getting a bike because bikes are for fucking peasants. Not doing that. Like, you'd have to be a complete douchebag and an idiot to get on a fucking bike. Spandex or no spandex? Like, screw you. So, screw that garbage. Nah, it's okay, man. I don't even like, I hate cardio. I got to be honest. I hate cardio. Always have, always will. But, you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do for your heart and all that good stuff. But, like, come on. Imagine cycling for hours and hours and hours. That's the kind of derangement that means that you're going to hang out on a unicycle with no padding seat on it and then watch some Manual in Space and then douse yourself with chocolate sticks and play with your roosters.
And I don't have roosters.
I know it's innuendo. I know. I feel like we've covered this. Zach says, New Year's Eve is at least 6 hours, right? Psh, Eric said he'll go all night and all day.
No.
I got more than enough beer to cover it. I'm good.
I'm going to shoot to do 2 hours.
You're going to shoot yourself? Maybe. Please. None of us want to see Eric in Spanish. Hold on. I want to read these comments in order. CC says, please. Followed by, please. None of us wants to see Eric in spandex. Followed by, Bobbles will say, I hate my wife rides her bike. I have to constantly push the bike forward. And Hobby Champ says, speak for yourself. Hobby Champ's what's in spandex.
He might even go to fund your cards to get the 10% fee to fund Eric riding the bike. That's how much Hobby Champs wants to see Eric in spandex.
Could you imagine, though? So, Brandon, can I ask you this question? Could you imagine if Eric went to fund your cards to fund one of his lemons?
Yeah.
And they're like, do fractions go that low? Do fractions go that low?
But
what's 10% of virtually nothing?
This is the most expensive one I've ever bought, and I still kick myself in the balls for the money I spent on it. But it's the only one I've ever
seen. Could we kick you in the balls? Because I don't think you learned the lesson.
It's the only one I've ever seen, and I just was like...
It's probably the only one ever made.
It doesn't say one of one, but maybe. I don't know, but I paid a lot for it. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
Well, I would have given you that before you paid for it, but sure.
Reggie's like, I kept all the other ones. That's the only one that ever hit the market. I could have gave you one.
Yeah, it's like, bro, if you really wanted one that badly, I would have given it to you for like $10. I have a bunch in my house.
It's the only one I've ever seen.
I forgot to mail those bitches back.
Oh my God. Eric, I'm sorry. I left them with Yannick, and Yannick was supposed to ship them to you. My bad, bro. Whoops. My bad.
Whoopsie.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna wind her down here shortly. Last comments in the chat. Good chat tonight. If any of you haven't already, you can check out Dan's Vintage Card PC. He was nice enough to join us and participate in the chat and have a little back and forth. I think it was fun to have a nice conversation, so enjoyed that. He's trying to get to 1,000 subs, so give us 1,000 subs. Help him out with that. By the way, also, I want to follow up quickly since I talked about it on the... do watch my last year-end episode. Some really good clips, some fun clips from this past year. There were some good ones in there. One of the things, though, I did make clear also, by the way, I said, I'm going to repeat it here, but I made it clear in that video. When and if our next round of the infamous YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame, I will be participating only as a man of peace, a purveyor of the news and the knowledge, I will not be wasting my time on that shit. Just thought I would share that. No, Brandon, people have come to expect. Listen, I had a lot of really good videos in the last couple of years where I came up with some pretty good shit for that. But I'm like, I'm not exhausting my creative juices on this. I'm tired. I'm working with children. I'm done, man. It's over. Like, it's done. I can't do it anymore. Leave it to somebody else. Eric, I think is going to start up a YouTube channel and lobby for the Hall of Fame. He's going for it.
I have a YouTube.
I think it's all him. It's all him.
I have a YouTube channel. It exists.
Yeah, but you got to make some videos on it, man.
I did. It's me doing mountain bike stuff from a long time ago. It's
Good Lord, you're trash. Good Lord, you're trash. Bobbles says, sir, we can't fit you in tomorrow. Our waxers are all booked, but I'm wearing spandex on YouTube tomorrow. I know. These are the problems that Eric has to live with, man. Went and liked all my with all my burner accounts. Correct. Yes, please do. Eric, can we please get that Blackhawks Orb PSA 10 with fund your cards? Oh my god. Oh my god.
I don't know. The one that I was gifted is enough.
Is like the greatest card in the hobby. It's unbelievable.
It's
magnificent.
6.
It's magnificent. It's probably one of the greatest cards that's ever existed.
It's a 6. Couldn't get me the 10.
Eric, 10s don't exist. That's the highest. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah, what's the pop count?
Probably negatives. CZ says, Eric, Detroit Lions going to win this year? Oh, by the way, I like this reference here. Eric, Detroit Lions going to win this year? I trust your predictions. I included Eric's. By the way, quick side note. Like I said, I mentioned it on the last episode, our last video. As we get into the football playoffs, so I don't know, Brandon, if you want to join in, you're more than welcome. I'll reach out to Scott. Apparently he hasn't been watching football, so it might not be fun if Scott joins in, but we'll see. I am going to do a couple of watch-alongs with a couple of football games. I'll pick and choose. I'll do one of the Packer ones for sure. It might be a one and done. They didn't play that great last week, so we'll see. Depends on the matchup for them. I think it's going to be more than anything else, but we'll see. Maybe the Ravens ones. I'll see how the schedule works out. I'll do a couple of watch-alongs though. It'll be fun. I think it'll be enjoyable. I enjoyed doing it last year, to be honest. So for me, it's going to be fun to do. I'll do a couple here and there, and let me see which games make sense schedule-wise, and then I'll play it by ear. But yeah, I like doing it, just sitting there chilling, and we can chat on it as we're watching the game. Because honestly, some of those games need some random BSing, because that's the only way you can deal with it. Or Eric can make some predictions, and then after halftime, suddenly it turns completely, and then the Detroit Lions lose.
Okay, a couple of things. A couple of years ago, I got them all right. So there's for that. Second, last year...
A couple of years ago, though, you got every NHL one wrong.
I did do that. That's also a fact. Now, when it comes to that game, nobody predicted that nonsense. But I also want to point out, at that time, I was under the influence of a lot of pain medication. So I don't even remember doing that.
And yet I have footage of all of it.
Yes. And the footage came up and I went, what the hell am I saying? When did I do that? I was under a lot of pain medication at that point.
I see. That's your excuse now, is it?
I'm just telling you the facts. I don't remember even doing it.
All I'm saying is that maybe we'll get another Bougie Eric prediction. You can bet again. By the way, my favorite part was Zach making the comments. I'm going to bet for the 49ers. Thanks, E. That was my favorite part about all that. And by the way, for the record, you should have immediately bet on the 49ers. That was a great bet if you made it. Bubbles says, selling Carlos YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame t-shirts on my wife's foot channel. Get them cheap before she gets inducted. Listen, man, it is what it is. Listen, I'm kind of hoping. Part of the reason I mentioned that is because, like I said, I don't want people to waste their time on something I don't care about. But I kind of enjoy the fact that last year we were on the bubble. And I kind of like the idea of basically falling off the ballot after that. They're like, well, we're on the bubble, and then that's it. I'm not going to do anything related to it. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to, unless there's a good controversy. If there's a good controversy, Brandon, I'm in. I do love me some random YouTube drama. I do kind of. I'm not going to deny this. I love it. So if you're going to do that, all right, I'm willing to play along with that.
Yeah. If
the rest of it, bullshit, I don't care.
This podcast actually has 2 YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame nominees on it, because I've been nominated a couple years And then I just kind of stopped doing videos and, whatever. But I was a nominee a couple years as well, several years ago. But yeah, so this is a two-time or two nominated individuals on this podcast. So
It is true.
We got to get a little bit of credit for that.
It is true. Well, listen, Brandon, as you well know, I take great pride in being officially YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame bubble. Yeah! No one has ever gotten closer without getting it.
Before we get too far away from football, I want to share this because there was talk about how terrible my fantasy team was and how everybody got injured.
Sure.
Had that not happened, I just want to say I am officially on my 7th week in a row winning.
Woo.
Putting up some big points as well. And you see that name there, Eric.
I can't read any of that.
It's actually really hard to read. Like, we can't read it.
Yeah, because the stupid thing doesn't want to.
Oh, wait, almost. Yeah, we got it now. Against Vintage Sports Flips. Interesting.
Yeah. You see the name, Eric?
No, I'm trying. Vintage Sports Flips and you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Whoa. Brandon, on the last podcast of 2024, have you just revealed the secret?
Revealed the secrets.
Hold on. It takes me a second to do it, Eric. You could have been talking during that time. It would have been great.
I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Surprise!
I'm typing right there. Look.
Well, I don't believe it. I think this is more of your Tom.
I like that we can actually hear the echo. That's amazing. I don't know which one of you is echoing, but I can literally hear it.
It's more of your tomfoolery and a way that to try to upset me. So I'm not gonna accept this as reality.
As a former private investigator, this is not your best work, I must say. Questionable. The big reveal. I appreciate you bringing the exclusive in at the very end. Eric, if instead of using yourself as a private investigator, you had used basically anyone else in creation that you could have spent $1 on, you might have been able to solve the mystery sooner. But I know why you couldn't do it.
Well, guess what? Because you're poor.
There is something to that. But I realized, when I was involved in this case, I was doing workman's comp fraud before.
So you're saying everyone in Massachusetts got away with workman's comp fraud? I bet, Eric, Brandon, I got to be honest. Look, I appreciate you making yourself vulnerable and sharing this big secret. I'd like to share a secret too. Back in Eric's heyday of doing workman's comp fraud investigation, I too defrauded the state of Massachusetts on workman's comp, which was impressive considering I wasn't even in the country. And Eric never caught me. And even though I went, neener, you can't catch me. Like, he just couldn't catch me. Like, it was weird. Like, you would have thought that would have made it obvious, but apparently not.
I didn't say I was good at it.
Clearly not. So it would seem. So it would seem.
It was just one of the jobs I've done. That's all. I've had lots of jobs.
Yeah, you got that Homer Simpson thing going about you. You got that going on. Yeah, I got it. Fair enough. So look, I like round numbers. So Brandon, is there any other thing you'd like to share? I want to keep it going for about 6 or 7 more minutes because we're right there. We may as well just finish it up. We could give the manifesto. Eric could read his manifesto. He could denounce the Boston Bruins. There's still time. You could still denounce the Boston Bruins as a franchise forever.
I don't have a bombshell that can live up to that.
It's a pretty bold one.
Again, I think you're participating in tomfoolery and nonsense, and I just won't buy into that.
Tomfoolery and nonsense. That's bold. Yeah. That's a lot.
You're just teasing. You're just teasing me. And
wait, actually, I've got something real quick. And by the way, Chad, if there's anything you want to including comments, feel free. There was something that I had in my other tab. I was looking on the side there. I had some tabs. We never got around to it, but my Schadenfreude demands it. Can we take a second here? Guys, for the last time this season, can we play the game? What was Aaron Rodgers' QBR? I have it right here. You don't understand. Like I've had this, Brandon. I've had this for well over 3 hours on the tab on the other side. It's on a scale of 0 to 100. 50 is average. They played the Buffalo Bills. They were crushed 40 to 17.
I had the Bills defense.
He was pulled. They were crushed 40 to 17. He was pulled. By the way, our good friend the Darkness, for the record, I don't know if you know this, Eric. My favorite thing about this, the reason why it amuses me so, and I actually had it. That's not a joke. I had it in a tab here. I forgot about it. I wanted to make sure I came back to it. Aaron Rodgers, coming into the game, had 499 touchdowns. He needs one more touchdown for 500 on his career.
Yep.
He didn't get it, just to be clear, and he got pulled in that game. But
He has another
on a
week.
scale of 0 to 100, what was his QBR?
I'm gonna go like 8.6. I don't know if he was double
Bob?
digits.
Bob, I'd like to bet $1, please.
We're getting closer to Manuel Spaceman. Just saying. All right. So, Eric, is that what you're going with?
I'm going with $1, Bob.
Brandon? Eric was shockingly close. Aaron Rodgers, the Darkness's QBR in his last game was 1.2.
Holy shit!
Dang!
I believe in a thing called love. Can't you hear the rhythm?
Brandon, he's such trash. He sucks so bad, and it makes me so happy.
I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my heart.
You know, in fairness, though, there was a discussion in the Discord.
There's no
about
fairness.
Sam
He's
Darnold.
trash. 1.2. This is garbage.
And there was a discussion about Darnold.
I win again.
Go back. and
Brandon,
get
Brandon,
Darnold.
hold
I
on
don't
before you
think he's
continue.
gonna do
Brandon,
good.
before you continue, hold on. Brandon, before you continue. It warms the cockles of my heart and the subcockles of my heart. It warms all of them. The entire cockle system, all of it's warmed. It's amazing. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
And you guys
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
terrible.
I know what I'm talking about when it comes to football. I nailed that.
That was actually pretty good. I got to be honest. He was very close. He was actually
I
surprised, shocking.
saw the majority of
Within
the
point
game.
2, Brandon. Within point 2. That's
I
pretty
thought
good.
at least putting his cleats on would give him like
Oh,
2.
no.
Brandon, that's
Had him
testament
on
to
the
how
wrong
trash he was. He started with 2 and went down.
He put him on the wrong feet. He got points deducted.
Brandon, that's lower than Deshaun. That's lower than any of the Deshaun ones we talked about. How garbage do you have to be sub Deshaun? At that
Yeah,
point,
that's
just
pretty bad.
quit. Leave. At that point, just quit. Leave. Just go away. Dang. Good evening, bro.
Bobby.
Now who's going to be revealed as Bobbles all along. I am Tupac. Holler if you hear me. Appreciate it. You can't see me. I wonder if heaven got a cabana. Maybe. Any new pickups? Well, I got a acetate Medano card. Got one of those. Last card of the year. And I got a bit of childhood nostalgia in a 1992 official baseball price guide collector's edition. It's no Richard Scott book. But, you know, it's the next best thing. Listen, Eric, I think, given that you're now a new Richard Scott disciple and
Yeah. I can't wait till
Scholastic-
tomorrow. I cannot wait
Scholastic
till
student.
tomorrow.
Eric, I honestly think you should give us a book report of Richard Scott's latest writing work.
I'm let me see here. I am 26 pages in, and so far I've just been angry.
Carlos, burn that book, Dr. Beckett. I recognize no Dr. Beckett. There is only Jimbo. So, by the way, for the record, so Eric, look, I got to be honest. So, real quick, just as we're finishing up here, I did need to enjoy my moment of Schadenfreude with the Aaron Rodgers. 1.2, Brandon. 1.2. How trash is that? Like, that's garbage.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad.
That's
man.
less letters than spelling JETS.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, this guy. So anyway, what I was gonna say, there you go. There's the Marcel. Okay. So real quick thing, as we're finishing up here. I was gonna say that the funniest part about all that is that Eric, is making all his complaints and lamenting and all the thing. Oh my God, it's so hard to read and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. What I'm gonna say is the following. I was able to read probably like 60 pages of freaking king crab fishing from Mike Kramer. You can get through the goddamn. How long is the Richard Scott book? It can't be that long. Come on. What are you doing?
Well,
That's
were
a
you
good one by
angry?
Bob.
Were you angry the whole time you went through it?
I was starting to get pissed off at King Crab. Like I'm
It's
not
100
a
it's
seafood
100
eater. Like I don't need
It's
to. I don't care.
151 pages of information, and like I said, I'm 26 pages in, and all I've been is angry. So,
How many pages was it again? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
yeah,
How many did you say?
151.
Oh, come on. That shit probably half of the damn thing's pictures. Get on it, you slacker. Read it while you're riding your unicycle. Oh my God. Like, that's nothing. You're a peasant. Shut up. You need to get to the end of the damn book.
I don't know.
No.
I'm angry. I don't want to be angry.
I won't speak. I'm not sure what Bobby's referring to. All that shit's in the mail. This
Yeah,
came in the mail, and the
just-
other stuff came in the mail. All of it came in the mail.
Yeah.
I mean, in Canadian, we got it in the mail. I sent mail and I received mail. It was wild. It was wacky. Eric got new spandex for his 2-hour ride tomorrow. Facts. 24 hours over. That's all, folks. I like that. I like that. This is some good work, folks. I got to say, we learned a lot tonight. We learned that Brandon and 540 flips are one and the same. This was a shocking reveal.
I don't believe that's true.
We learned all about Eric's poles, Swedish meatballs, his playing with roosters while slathering himself in mayonnaise.
Nope, not true at all.
It was very strange. I got to say, Brandon, this 2024 was a very strange year. We learned a lot. Really did.
Can we go now? I want to go to
We
bed.
will. We will, but I need some poignant words. Brandon, do you have any poignant words of wisdom to leave us on? Actually, let me give you a second to think about that. Eric, do you have any less poignant words of wisdom to leave us on?
I hate you all.
Mhm.
I hate everyone in the chat.
Mhm.
I hate doing this.
Hmm.
Man, it's all stupid.
My response to you is I want you to look forward. This is going to be very exciting.
Mm-mm.
Very exciting. You're going to love it. I want you to very carefully look deep into your soul. And by that, I mean go to Google. And I want you to look up a thing. And this is going to be very exciting for you. Look up a thing called in perpetuity. And then look forward to it in 2025 and beyond.
Mm-mm.
You are never free. I own you. Anyway, moving on. Have a good night. Apparently, Bobby really desperately wants you to have something in the mail. Did he send you a bomb or something? Does he have something cool that you'll die on? What do we got here?
I did get something I was confused about. And I asked these guys about it earlier. Are you referring to somebody sending me a mystery package from Florida, possibly? Because I'm trying to figure out where this came from. So are you referring to that, possibly?
Maybe. Don't buy spandex on Temu. Fair advice. Happy New Year and first response to the doctors. Respect to Dr. Beckett. Dang.
Is this possibly what you're referring to? Because
We'll find out.
I don't know how it got here.
Little do you know.
I do see Reggie on the back, though.
Whoa. Maybe it's another mystery solved, Brandon. Maybe we're about to solve another mystery. It's pretty exciting. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I did ask the guys, like, you know anything about this? Because I don't know what this is and why it's here.
So with that said, while Bobby is responding, there you go. It's a good
So
response.
You're
I like
behind,
that.
so you're behind this. Okay. I don't
See,
know.
and you were there pledging fealty to Richard Scott when you should be thanking
I
the
just don't. He'll have to explain it to me about how something got here from Florida when he's up in the Canadians. But okay.
You question the powers of the Burrell?
No, he's magic.
Listen, I'm just saying. I understand he doesn't quite have, you don't worship him as hard as Richard Scott. Obviously, Richard Scott's your number one.
No, that's not true at all. But
Ooh, I like this answer.
no, not that doesn't. That's not doesn't say ham on it. But
Oh, Eric. You realize he could say anything that
yeah,
Ham wanted to say.
yeah, that's probably true.
That could be what he calls himself.
Yeah, that's concerning that he has my address now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess you could have just asked my wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. On that bombshell, Brandon, last go with this. Do you have now I don't know if you'll be joining us for the New Year's Eve live stream. Of course you're welcome. Of course you are welcome. Everyone, all the regulars will be welcome. But regardless, do you have any sage last words here for the BIC podcast under the watchful eyes of Brett?
The only thing I gotta say, just speaking for all of us, and I don't do that often, but thanks to everybody that whether it's been the lives or the regular recordings, thanks for the comments, the fun, the silly card of the week involvement, interaction, voting, all of that. I don't know how many weeks I've won. This isn't to brag or anything like that, but I've had a pretty good turnout, and even without
after the tragedy of Troy Dan, like it could only
after Troy Dan, y'all have supported me, so I do appreciate that. Even though Eric claimed that I was up to shenanigans, and maybe I was a couple weeks, maybe I crossed the line, but I've been able to show modesty and maturity can still win. So I appreciate the support there, and it's been fun doing this. It's been the most consistent thing I've done on YouTube. And that's speaking a lot, I enjoy doing videos and that kind of stuff, but I've never been one to put my foot down and be consistent with it. But I enjoyed doing the podcast when I was doing it with Refractor Jones, and I missed doing it, and was lucky to have these two to do this, every Monday night or Tuesdays for you guys. And it's been a lot of fun. So here is to 2024 was a great year. Got back onto my path of where I should have been all along. And here is to continuing on the bicycle into 2025 and not falling off like Eric.
Wow. That was solid right there. Great finish.
I didn't fall at all today. I did 17 miles and I didn't fall at all. I just want to say.
Well, I think if you go for the general idea for it, I think that if you went with the unicycle without the seat, I think it could make for some interesting outcomes.
I do want to learn.
Bobby's waiting for the shelves to be full. Bobby, I'm working on it, brother.
Look, I gotta be honest, Brandon. The more Bobby brings it up, the more I would like delay it. I would like put one item at a time every week. Just one.
I have been putting stuff up there. It's just hard. It's hard to see. Like y'all can't even see this. Like this one goes further over. There is more stuff on there.
I think you should put one item at a time
that's not visible.
And then change your mind and move it over to the other side and then put it back and then add one more item, but then shift it over and then move it back. And you could milk this for like a year.
Yeah. Well, that's
easily
the biggest thing after having it set up one way for so long. I have been struggling with like how to set it all back up because I just didn't want to put the same shit back up there because it's like, well, why did I take it down in the first place? Right. So I have been trying to figure out how I want it. So that's part of it.
Mhm.
There you go.
You need to go back
So-
to IKEA and get some more meatballs and shelves, man.
Look,
No, I have more shelves to put up for downstairs and stuff too. So it's
Okay.
not just this room that I'm redoing. So
thou doth protest too much. We all know you like having the meatballs in your mouth while having your sticks in your mouth. And that's your business. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It is not your fault. No, it's your fault. It is totally your fault.
Fair enough.
What kind of sadistic collector are you teasing us with empty shelves? I know. Anyway, so
yeah.
on that note, we thank everybody for participating this year. This has been the last, like I said, last podcast episode of the year. We'll be back next week. We'll have the community post up probably in the next day or so, and that'll be on there. So hopefully you participate. So we'll have that. I think that's good. And then the other portion of it is, like I said, as Brandon outlined and dictated, it's been a lot of fun to do a lot of this stuff. It's been fun. Generally speaking, 5% more mature. Tonight, not so much. Tonight, all bets were off. And on the channel, we'll be back tomorrow for the New Year's Eve Spooktacular. No, I'm not labeling that one a Spooktacular, although I could, because I pretty much have no rules about the Spooktacular. Anything I want can be a Spooktacular, okay?
I think that's fair.
And this year we did have a legit Spooktacular. We did have one legit Spooktacular. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. So here we go. Let's see. If you have 2 cards in your collection, you have more than Darren Ravel. Dang. Yeah. Later. Enjoyed hanging out. Name it X1 2025. Do not tease Eric.
Oh,
with a good
shut
time.
up. You end this stupid ass show.
Wow.
You're full of
Wow.
Nah, yep.
Brandon,
No.
listen. If fucking Name
No.
gets his ass out and ignores his 47 kids, I'm saying if he gets and
No.
ignores his 47 kids,
Full of shit.
Brandon, there's nothing left. There's no excuses left. At that point, get your ass to Expo. Let's
I'm
go.
not coming. I'm not.
Bring the
I'm
missus. Bring everybody. Bring
won't
whoever you
go.
got. Let's go.
No, I won't go. Screw it.
That right there, that's dangerous right there. That happens, dang. At that point, Brandon, there's no excuses left. There is nothing left.
I don't have any excuses. I totally screwed up last year. I was looking at the wrong place.
Clearly, you're looking at the wrong place.
That was
Unbelievable.
That was
Unbelievable.
Just
Next
that was
level. All right, everybody, have yourselves a good night. It's been a lot of fun. We had some fun here on a Monday. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the New Year's Eve live stream. The tradition will continue. And basically, we'll leave Eric on a bicycle. He'll play with his unicycle and Lord knows, slap himself in mayonnaise or whatever he's going to do. We'll see. We'll find out. We'll all find out together.
2-hour ride tomorrow. Come join in on the fun.
All right, hold on. Bobby's got one last question. Bobby, type quick. Type fast. Type fast.
I want to go to bed.
What's the last question? We got to know. Baz, cheers. Wait for the bell. All right. Waiting. He's typing. He's still typing. Whoo. Brandon, whoo. Typing.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Page 26 and angry. How angry are you, Eric? Okay, we're waiting for the typing. Answer the question.
Are you
Eric.
Looney Tunes angry?
I was going to say.
I'm
Wait,
like
hold on. Wait. Before, Eric, shut up. Before you answer, there's a scale. There's Looney Tunes angry. There's Bobby from Atlanta angry. And then there's Carlos against the fucking Dutch. Where are we on the scale?
I am. I'm going to stick with my answer. I'm Yosemite Sam angry.
Wow. Interesting. I don't know. I'm going to have to leave that up to the audience for interpretation.
Dynamic.
Wow. All right. Last live stream of the year happening tomorrow. Good night. Godspeed. Thank you to AMG. Our apologies. Condolences. All of the things. Good night and good luck.